Part 3. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 21. The searchlight on Yeshi's hand was very bright and could illuminate the entire passage. The live broadcast drone made an extremely subtle buzzing sound and broadcast everything here live. Therefore, the barrage exploded directly. I want to see the ancient city, but I don't want to see the underworld. Let me drink some water first. I feel like my body is suddenly a little weak. It's just a small thing, isn't it? Just dead people everywhere, isn't it? Just mummies everywhere, isn't it? Just vomit. What scene have I never seen before? Cross it out, I have never seen this scene before. Dead people on the ground fell on both sides of the passage. Many of their neck bones were bent with yearning, as if they were looking up at the sky before they died. It is sharply different from the pile of bones outside. What is more consistent is that they are all scary. Yeshi took 2 steps in the passage, squatted down and inspected the bones, shook his head, and murmured to himself. Why did these people die in this place? Could it be that people inside can't get out and people outside can't get in? Just when he was wondering, Lao Hu and the others had already descended along the rope. They were shocked when they saw the mummies all over the ground. Yeshi quickly asked these 3 people to take a look at the reasons for the death of these corpses. After all, they were professional counterparts. Just as they were inspecting it, Dan Maka began to become confused. How come Lao Hu is treated like a forensic doctor, and Yeshen still asks people to examine the method of death? Forget about the forensic doctor, this man has been dead for almost 1,000 years. Even if the god of law comes, there is nothing he can do. What can this man see? Our archaeology is done through professional biological identification, such as detecting the radioactive isotope carbon-14 to determine the age of carbon-containing materials. No one can really tell this with the naked eye. Originally I thought these 3 were ordinary archaeologists, but now they seem to be extraordinary. The more I look at them, the less they look like archaeologists, more like. An old researcher from a certain research institute solemnly typed these words: these 3 people are not from archaeology, and their behavior is completely different from that of all archaeologists. It would be more accurate to say that these 3 people came to rob tombs. The person above expressed my true feelings. I used to be very interested in history, so I also worked with an archaeological team for a while, but these 3 people have nothing to do with archaeology. Many people began to pay attention to these 3 people. The fat man, on the other hand, was excitedly touching around on the mummies, not caring how long these people had been dead, which greatly impressed netizens. Let's not talk about whether it is archaeology or not. I am so impressed by this materialistic belief alone. Fat people really don't believe it. Which of you can do it? There is also the belief in making money, which is too persistent. Am I the only one paying attention to Yeshen? Yeshen is a man of great skill and courage, but a fat man can still say that an ignorant person is fearless. Yeshen is one of those who knows that there is metaphysics in this world, so he still rushes forward. This is too stubborn. In a certain research institute, the information of Lao Hu and Fatty has been obtained by researchers. The old researcher wore glasses and carefully turned over the information, then looked at Xiao Song and said, "It looks like he is really a tomb robber. Do you know this boy named Yeshi?" He didn't expect to get an answer, but he still felt distressed when he saw these people treating cultural relics very casually. Oh, this is an exquisite ancient city. If we were allowed to enter it, we don't know how many precious documents and cultural relics we could unearth. Now it has fallen into their hands. It's heartbreaking. Are we still not allowed to follow you? Xiao Song nodded. The old researcher wiped away his tears and then became furious again. What kind of live broadcast does this boy named Ye do if he knows such precious archaeological knowledge? It's a waste of talent. He is still a student at Yenching University. Logically speaking, I am still his teacher. Yeshi didn't know that he had attracted the attention of many people. He just pointed the searchlight at both sides of the passage and frowned at the dense bloody handprints on it. After the camera zoomed in, netizens watching the live broadcast were also shocked. Not to mention that his live broadcast room has almost exploded in popularity due to various reasons. Hot searches have been posted one after another, which has almost triggered a nationwide frenzy for following live broadcasts. Although the big bugs rushing out of the desert have put off some tourists who are planning to visit the Taklamakan Desert, they have stimulated the interest of many explorers. Yeshi's live broadcast room has been moved abroad. The last time he broadcast the white bone dragon pond, his various tricks, including the 5-color altar, the black python, the ice cave, and the chi dragon were already dizzying. Unexpectedly, this time it would be even more exaggerated. His personal blog is even more lively than the United Nations, with 17 or 8 languages mixed together, and then the noise is overwhelming. The first 6 trends of Little Bluebird have all been blown up by Yeshi's live broadcast room, not to mention the Big Eye platform and Yindo platform, each of which is even more popular. As for the direction where Yeshi came in, it has been completely blocked. Many desert cultural studies, insect researchers, and biologists were all drawn here, just to study why this bug can be so big. As for the bone dragon pond, it was handed over to another department. After all, the bugs here are as large as they are large, and they are still within their acceptance range. But along, that has already reached the fantasy interface. Yeshi shined a light on the countless bloody handprints on the wall. Looking at these bloody handprints, even he felt a little nervous, let alone other people. It's very strange. Look at the blood stains here and these mummies. It feels like the people down there have encountered something terrifying. They want to escape, but they find that the passage cannot be opened at all. People from outside can't get in, and people inside can't get out. Yeshi touched his chin. I'll keep walking forward, Laohu, see if you can tell anything else from these mummies. When Laohu heard this, he nodded and was about to open the body when he suddenly felt something was wrong. When he opened his mouth to call Ye, he found that the person was gone. This passage seemed to be able to swallow up light. The searchlight in Yeshi's hand was comparable to a small sundae, however, here, it couldn't even shine within 10 meters. Yeshi knocked on the wall with his hand, looked at the camera and said, I don't know if you have noticed, but the walls on both sides seem to be made of special materials. They have a light-absorbing effect. But I'm curious. This passage should be the passage into the inner city. Why are you so afraid of light? What Yeshen said makes sense, so why? This kind of special construction material is available on the market, but why do we use this kind of ghost material for this kind of passage into the city? Is it to build a ghost town? Yeshi wiped a handful of plaster on the wall, but couldn't see anything, so he just walked forward. But at this time, the searchlight he was holding suddenly flashed. Damn it, did Yeshen's flashlight flash just now, or was I dazzled? That's called a searchlight, I saw it too. At this time, a certain beautiful girl in the air-conditioned room suddenly felt cold. Yeshi checked the searchlight and found that there was nothing wrong. He looked up and saw the barrage, smiled and comforted. The searchlight is just flashing dimly. It's a minor malfunction. It's not a big problem. Don't worry. It's not a big problem. Isn't this what we used to tease Yeshen? I didn't expect Yeshen to still learn and use it. Ha ha ha, thank you God for your comfort. I'm not scared anymore. Suddenly, the sound of stamping sounded. Hiss. The searchlight in Yeshi's hand alternated between light and dark, flashing violently. Damn, there's a monster. Mom, help. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Pian Hai. Chapter 22. Chapter 22. I'm just an ordinary anchor. A person who was watching Yeshi's live broadcast with great interest in a coastal city was instantly frightened by the squirming wall. He fell down from his seat, faced the ground, and shouted in horror. What the hell is this? I only saw Yeshi walking forward, and then the searchlight suddenly flashed. It was extremely dim, a hissing sound came out, and many snake fetuses were entangled together and fell from the sky. The light in Yeshi's hand seemed to naturally attract these ghosts. Snake Zinza spat it out, and a substance dispersed inexplicably in the air also affected the searchlight, making it dim and bright, or even about to go out. He immediately understood why the walls on both sides were made of this special material. It had something to do with this strange snake. Lights attract strange snakes, and strange snakes also affect the lights. The live broadcast room was in chaos, and netizens felt like their souls were scared out of their wits. Although Yeshi was startled for the first time, he reacted immediately. I don't know when I brought the iron rod with me, and when I rubbed it against the wall, bursts of fire started. Holy shit, that's amazing. Does friction generate heat? Drilling wood to make fire and bowing to the disadvantage. Newton, I really can't control this kid anymore. Whoever wants to control him should do it. The sparks spread, and Yeshi's internal energy also spread out along the iron rod, causing the flames on it to spread rapidly, and the strange snakes that were roasted did not dare to move forward. Hiss. The firelight seemed to burn an invisible substance, and the searchlight could shine far away at once. Even Yeshi felt his scalp numb. What is this called? Jingju Ancient City? This should be called Jingju Snake Nest. He instantly thought of the legends of ancient gods compiled by someone on the last earth. Although I have come to another world, this world is still very fantasy. But just because it's so fantasy, the legendary snake god might actually exist. People with intensive phobia become numb. It's amazing, I just touched my heart. Guess what? Hey, it stopped beating. I thank Yeshen for showing me so many magical things. There is nothing more to say. Please give me a special product from the underworld. I was afraid that the Snake Star people would die on the spot, but in order to see if Yeshen was still safe, I had to stare at the screen from a distance of more than 10 meters. Thank you for the invitation. I am at Nahi Bridge and just saw Meng Po Tang. What happened here at Yeshi also alarmed Lao Hu and the others. The three of them rushed over quickly. When they saw the densely packed snake fetuses, they almost turned their eyes and died. Among them, Miss Yang's reaction was the most violent. Vomit. Yang Swilly stepped back crazily. No matter how disgusting the scene was before, she would never act like this. This is not because our own side is incompetent, but because the enemy is too terrifying. Yeshi threw his backpack to Lao Hu and said, "Take out all the flash bombs inside and see if this is an ancient city or a snake city." Lao Hu was shocked and didn't know what he thought of, but he quickly suppressed his excitement and took out the flash bombs from Yeshi's backpack, looked around, and finally handed them to the fat man. Although the densely packed snake fetuses in front made people faint at a glance, Yeshi just made a gesture towards the back and explained it to the drone that was broadcasting the live broadcast in a leisurely manner. As he explained, he walked forward, almost scaring people to death. Yeshi shined the light in front and continued. It seems that unexpected changes have indeed taken place in Jingju Ancient City. Now I will walk forward along this passage to see if I can make it through. If you can't get through, I'm afraid you have to go back the same way and find another entrance. It's just that, I'm afraid it will waste some time. 666, Yeshen is indeed Yeshen. We were scared to death, but he turned out to be worried about this. Good guy, it's a waste of time. Yeshen is redefining the word waste of time. It has something to do with time, and it has something to do with fate. I haven't figured it out yet. What the hell? How did the iron rod in Yeshen's hand catch fire? How did it catch fire just by gently scraping it against the wall? What? It's actually burning up. Send Bruto to extinguish it. Ellie, why do you really think that you just scratched it lightly? No, 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 there really are people who didn't realize that Yeshen is a master of martial arts. That stick just now was probably as heavy as 1,000 caddies. Is there no reliable guess? I think that is some kind of black technology, and the fire occurred because the mechanism was turned on, but Yeshen is really a very skilled and brave person, and he is not afraid of these snakes jumping up and biting him. Yeshi did not watch the live broadcast room, but just looked at his feet. His own internal energy was burning like a flame. The heat of the yang carried by the 9 yang divine art spread out, breaking the cold and poisonous power in the air. Have these snakes been sleeping here for thousands of years? How did they survive for such a long time? Yeshi talked to himself, looking at the huge darkness in front of him, hesitating for a moment. The inner strength in his body is so extraordinary that it can be said that except for his appearance, he looks nothing like a human being. He alone can easily walk back and forth in the snake cave, but this does not include the ancient god. Yeshi clearly remembered how he described the snake god in Gui Blowing Lantern. The snake god's brain maintains the power of a world that exists on the other side of the world and will never be destroyed. The giant eye on the head of the snake god can make its soul immortal. At the end of heaven, earth, and time, it will be reborn from the bones like a phoenix. Yeshi's scalp felt numb when he thought of these adjectives. Facing the world's ultimate behemoth, he asked himself that taking 3 steps back did not actually make him weak. So he began to hesitate. Just when I was thinking about whether to move forward, Lao Hu and the others had already arrived. It turned out that he was worried about the danger Yeshi would encounter if he walked forward alone, so he hurried over. "Brother, what's wrong?" When Fatty saw Yeshi, he stopped where he was. He thought something had happened, and he let out a whoop, which made the originally solemn live broadcast room suddenly become cheerful. "I feel the firm belief of materialists, thank you Xiaopang, I am not afraid anymore." "Who says it's not the case?" Just now, Yeshen's expressions were mixed and he looked like a ghost. "I thought he was killed by these snakes." The air is suddenly filled with joyful atmosphere. Yeshi suddenly woke up and was no longer confused. He thought about it, but he didn't think he would meet the ancient god, so he casually said it was nothing. "I just observed these snakes. I'm afraid we have encountered the legendary guardian of the ghost cave, Jingjian Ahan. And the mummies we saw were all bitten to death by black snakes. A snake disaster must have broken out in Jingju ancient city." Lao Hu's voice came out, but his eyes were very puzzled. He didn't know why the black snake that was so vicious in the records was now so well behaved. "What is Jingjian Agama? Why has another thing appeared that I don't know about?" "Guardian of the ghost cave, I took what the anchor said as a legend, but you told me it was true. But the current situation is really strange. Why are these snakes motionless? Wait, are they afraid of Yeshen? There is also fire on the iron rod in Yeshen's hand. Is this Jingjian Ahan afraid of fire? There are so many things to think about upstairs. Look, the torches held by Fatty and the others are not a deterrent to these black snakes at all. Yes, this snake is indeed afraid of fire, but its fear of returning is not the same as that of Yeshen. This kind of fear." The barrage suddenly started making noise. And a certain research institute is already very busy. They are now urgently searching for information, and they must find out what the Jingjian Agan mentioned in the live broadcast room is. Yeshi knew that there were no martial arts masters like Jinggu in this world, so most netizens didn't know about internal power, and they couldn't explain it for a while. So he casually called Lao Hu and continued walking forward. "The further you go inside, the more black snakes there are. This black snake is so terrifying that it doesn't need material to survive at all, it just needs to keep multiplying." Everyone was originally frightened, but what surprised netizens? Before Yeshi and the others did anything, these snakes were so frightened that they didn't dare to move at all. So much so that the netizens watching the live broadcast began to laugh heartily. Yeshen, can truly say that one thing can bring down hundreds of millions of things. Jingjian Ahan is so good at deceiving people by his name, Why do you see Yeshen motionless? Is it possible that snakes also know how to bully the weak and fear the strong? Jin Mobei, I guess it may be that Yeshen has a trace of the power of a real dragon in his body. In ancient mythology, the oppression of superiors on inferiors is absolute. Yeshi was stunned when he saw this statement. He had never thought of this possibility. As we go deeper into it, the sinister feeling in the air becomes stronger and heavier. If Yeshi hadn't used his internal energy to burn away the poisonous gas, I'm afraid those three people would have been unable to hold on long ago. Now, Yeshi could hear the sound of bones breaking when he stepped on it. From the light-absorbing channel to the inside, there are human bones all over. It makes people afraid to think about what is going on here. The walls on both sides have almost become walls of wriggling snakes. Even those who are as big-hearted as a fat man are trembling with fear. If Yeshi and Lao Hu hadn't been rushing forward together, he, a staunch materialist, would have fallen here. As for Miss Yang, who was already dripping with cold sweat, she could only move forward with the help of old Hu. Finally walking out of the long passage, not to mention Yeshi and the others, even the people watching the live broadcast breathed a sigh of relief. An old researcher in a certain research institute took out a bottle of water and drank it. And the barrage started to become normal. I was scared to death. Where in the world could such a terrifying place come from? If it were me, I would have rolled my eyes and told them where it was. Yeshen and the others actually dared to move forward. What a brave man. It's not a good thing if the searchlight is too bright, otherwise we wouldn't be able to see so clearly. No, I'm feeling sick now. Don't forget, Yeshen and the others may have to go back. As soon as the last barrage came out, countless netizens watching the live broadcast room trembled, and their heads suddenly became sweaty and chilly. Finally came out. Yeshi took back his inner strength, then smiled at the live broadcast room. Everything is over, no need to worry. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the live broadcast room thanked Yeshen for comforting him. Then Yeshi continued. Relax, there will definitely be something bigger waiting for us later. Compared with the last live broadcast, now we are just encountering a black python. In the dark space, Yeshi smiled brightly, revealing 2 rows of white teeth. But to netizens, it looked like they were seeing a ghost. Yeshen, please don't mess with us. There's something big coming later. Is there something that can be compared with the real dragon? Is it possible that the fat man correctly predicted that there is a phoenix here? Lao Hu and the others trembled when they heard Yeshi's words, and the fat man among them even had a bitter look on his face. Brother, please stop teasing us. I will take it seriously later. Miss Yang was supported by Lao Hu, and after she managed to regain some strength, she went to explore the mechanism. Yeshi and Fatty got together, looked at the camera and said, I'm not trying to scare you. Didn't you ask me before if I had a phoenix? I don't know where the phoenix exists, but there is something similar to a phoenix in the ghost cave here. Chi. Lao Hu didn't know what he had done. In an instant, the entire hall lit up. Something like a phoenix. Lao Hu and Miss Yang spoke at the same time, then looked at each other with twinkling eyes. Why do I feel that Lao Hu and Miss Yang are different? Do they know something? What is something similar to a phoenix? Suzaku, Qinglong, White Tiger, or Xuanhuan? Good guy, you have gathered all the 4 sacred beasts, right, but there are too many things to think about. Upstairs I see so many black snakes. What kind of basilisk should they be? As expected, people still like the light. Look at the atmosphere after it becomes brighter. Yeshi looked at the 3 people and shrugged their shoulders. I think you should know that, so you came to Jingju ancient city. According to legend, the boundless ghost cave leads to another world. Yeshi glanced at the live broadcast room and continued. Actually, it's not appropriate to describe it as another world. Lao Hu, you should understand what I mean. Lao Hu looked at Yeshi as if he had seen a ghost, with a puzzled expression on his face. How do you know this? He glanced at the fat man again. Is the fat man's identity guess right? Are you the same type of person as us? Netizens in the live broadcast room were so anxious when they heard them playing riddles that they frantically typed on the keyboard. After a few years, I feel the fear of being dominated by the Riddler again. The Riddler gets out of Gotham City. Are you two trying to kill me? What kind of people are you, archaeologists? Tomb robber. Yes, she saw that the barrage was full of random guesses, coughed twice and said, "No, you are overthinking this. This is just an ordinary anchor. My only wish is to take everyone together to explore the secrets." Good guy, there's another mediocre one, right? Yeshen, I am just an ordinary little anchor who broadcasts real dragons. The old researcher nearly spit out his salt soda, pointed at the screen, widened his eyes, and said to Xiao Song and the others, "Do you hear what this boy named Ye is talking about? If he was still mediocre, wouldn't my old bones be buried in the ground long ago?" Lao Hu looked left and right, and he really felt that yes, she didn't look like a tomb robber, so he didn't ask anything and just continued. "Yes, we actually came here for the ghost cave. This is why Fatty asked you before if you had seen a phoenix. Because what we are looking for is the phoenix gallbladder and the Muchin pearl. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 23. When Lao Hu's voice came out of the live broadcast room, everyone was stunned, and the barrage flew by quickly. What is Phoenix Gallbladder Zukin Pearl? The name sounds unusual. Here I come, it's finally time for me to show my skills as a person with an archaeological background. I can tell you clearly that when our Archaeological Research Institute was studying the history of the Shang dynasty, my teacher once mentioned Zukin Pearl. A great god appeared, the upstairs elaborated. It's a legendary thing, the teacher said. It was very fantasy. It was said that it was the jade eyeball left after the Yellow Emperor passed away, but no one had ever seen it. I only vaguely heard the teacher mention it. I didn't expect Lao Hu and others to know it. What? How is this related to the Yellow Emperor again? Kicking the doorframe. Good guy, I asked a few people from the film and television company, but there was no such person as the anchor. Okay, it seems to be a one-man show, but it's not bad to be able to do this, it's rare. Hey, isn't this brother Doorframe? Long time no see, where have you been? Kick the doorframe and give you a rocket. Seeing the appearance of the popular person in the live broadcast room kick the doorframe, many people began to tease him, especially praising Yeshi for coming, and even jokingly saying that his soul had returned. After Yeshi looked at the popular science of the live broadcast, he was a little surprised and felt that his live broadcast room was indeed full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. However, he looked at Lao Hu and said, "I'm afraid I'll disappoint you. There may be creatures similar to the legendary phoenix in this place, but the Zukin pearl you want is not here." The fat man has been wandering around the palace, thinking from time to time, and Miss Yang looked at Yeshi, not knowing what she was thinking. "Why do you know these things so clearly?" Suddenly hearing Miss Yang's question, Yeshi casually said, "Of course it's because I'm preparing for a live broadcast, so I collected all kinds of information in advance." No one believed this, even the netizens who watched the live broadcast said. Lao Hu /U0026 Miss Yang, we are easy to deceive, but we are not fools. Archaeologist, why didn't I collect these materials? Looking at the expressions of Lao Hu and Miss Yang, this is really a trick. While netizens were happily discussing, they also told Yeshi that his live broadcast had become popular and now almost all platforms were discussing it. Some people even took pictures of the army going to the Taklamakan desert. In addition, some people said that something big happened in the White Bone Dragon Pond, and many people who went to the live broadcast were driven back, and it seemed that it had been blocked now. Some people who had been watching the live broadcast room were also surprised to see these comments. When they checked, they found that it was true, and then they sent comments like crazy. Something big has happened, Yeshen, the area you entered in the desert is no longer open to people. When seeing this, Yeshi was stunned. He really didn't expect that a live broadcast he did would cause such a big commotion. However, seeing that there were all kinds of guesses above, Yeshi also symbolically comforted them and then skipped this topic directly. In the ancient temple, he shone the light in all directions and said, "You can see that this should be a temple, and there are carved statues everywhere. The eyes of these statues are very prominent, which also shows that what I said before is correct. The people of Jingzhou country, that is, the Ghost Cave clan, worship eyes very much. From this point of view, the eyes of the Queen of Jingzhou may really have something special. Indeed, it looks like an alien. Really, then the Queen of Jingzhou really knows magic, right? Kick the doorframe. How old are you? You still use magic, you still believe in things that fool children. Don't leave 1,000 miles. I really thought that the doorframe brother had turned over a new leaf. I didn't expect that he was still so stubborn. He has been slapped in the face so many times. It will be interesting if the bottle thrown by Yeshen is really found in the universe later." Yeshi continued to move forward with the searchlight. In such a gloomy space, he strolled leisurely as if he was walking in his own back garden, which made the fat man marvel. While walking forward, he broadcast all the buildings in the ancient temple live. The ancient and heavy pictures made everyone in a certain archaeological institute want to lie down in front of the computer, deduct one symbol after another, and study them carefully. This kid really found the Jingzhou ancient city. Alas, this is something that we old guys have tried our best but couldn't dig out. Cao Hongsheng pushed his glasses and sighed to the head of the group who hurried over to study the Western region culture, especially the Jingzhou ancient city culture. The printer on the side was still frantically printing all the pictures, and a whole wall was already covered with them. "Xiao Song, how is the situation in Longtan?" As he was talking, the old master suddenly thought of this matter. Xiao Song shook his head, looking embarrassed. "Master, you are not allowed to ask about this matter now. I heard that something happened in Longtan." Master Cao raised his head suddenly, and his glasses almost fell off his face. "Is there really such a creature as dragon in this world?" Yeshi was still strolling there with thousands of netizens watching the live broadcast, and from time to time he would get close to analyze it, and also discuss with netizens what the building materials of these statues should be. Looking at Lao Hu and others with such a nonchalant look, they couldn't help but give a thumbs up. "This guy is really calm." The fat man sighed, then quickly caught up and started to laugh. Ding! The system's voice came to Yeshi's ears again. "Ding! Congratulations to the host for exploring the Jingzhou ancient city map and increasing it by 5%. The overall progress is now 18%. Ding! Congratulations to the host for awakening the third puzzle of the Jingzhou ancient city, and the rewards are a jade eyeball, a 1,000-year magic pill, and a Jingzhou ancient city fragment X1. Jingzhou ancient city atlas, jade eyeball. Jade eyeball, in ancient history, the real Zukan pearl has disappeared and no one knows where it went, and the high priest of the Jingzhou ancient city has peeked into a mysterious corner and imitated the real Zukan pearl in an attempt to spy on the ghost cave. When bad luck comes, no one can escape, and the entire ancient city is buried under the yellow sand. Using it as a medium, you can see some places in the ghost cave clearly. Millennium Magic Pill, a mysterious tribe contributed a pill to the Queen of Jingzhou in order to survive. Taking it can enhance divine power and strengthen the connection with the ghost cave. Yeshi paused and looked straight ahead. The light of the searchlight also illuminated the things on the top platform clearly. It was a black throne, and a woman was sitting on it. The barrage was in uproar, and some old people in the institute were so excited that their hearts were about to jump out. "It seems that we can finally peek at the true appearance of the Queen of Jingzhou," who is said to have divine power. In front of the throne was an altar, and on the altar was a jade eyeball. There were naturally formed red silk and blue pupils in the jade, with clear layers, almost real. From a distance, it looked extremely weird, not to mention that the statue of the queen was also lifelike. When you suddenly see it, you will be scared and think you have returned to 1,000 years ago. Too exaggerated, have the skills of the ancients been so advanced? I really thought the queen was resurrected when I saw it just now. It's really scary. No, whose big eyeball is in front? Why did I feel that it was still moving just now? People scare people to death. Can you learn more from Yeshen and stay calm? Look, even the fat man is calmer than you. As soon as this comment was posted, netizens felt a black shadow suddenly jumped over, and thought they were struck by evil spirits. But when they looked closely, they found that it was a fat man with flaming eyes. P.S. I didn't update yesterday, not on purpose. I was watching the internet connection, and people almost died of anger after reading it, so I didn't write it. I will try to make up for it today. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Pian Hai. Chapter 24. Fatty's exaggerated speed was simply faster than the speed of exiting the passage full of black snakes, which made netizens who saw it laugh to death. My fat brother's money-loving character will really not be changed even if the sea and rocks are shattered and the earth falls apart. I really always feel like the big eyes in front of me are looking at me. These eyes are so lifelike. Are they really dug out of people's faces? Can you have some common sense upstairs? Where did you see such big eyes? You are a giant, right? Golden mouse, wait for Yeshen. Yeshen must know what this is. Kick the door frame. The anchor is indeed okay, but what I can't figure out is why the anchor knows everything. Is it possible that a person's knowledge reserve really reaches the level of knowing everything? If it really reaches this level, why do you want to do something, live broadcast, crazy? Kicks the door frame. This is already inside Jingzhou ancient city. How do you still know what this is? I'll leave it here. It's absolutely impossible. I also feel very strange. These eyes feel like they are staring at me, so scary. Have you noticed that there is something wrong with the statue of Queen Jingzhou? Why do I feel like it is staring at me? No one really thinks Queen Jingzhou is a monster, right? No, 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 it's the 25th century, and there are still people who believe this. I didn't expect that such a legendary thing could be encountered by us. As the live broadcast room was boiling, Yeshi's clear voice slowly came out. The fat man was drooling when he looked at the jade eyeball. Unfortunately, no matter what he did, the big eyeball seemed to be fixed on the altar and could not be taken out at all. Lao Hu looked shocked. Brother, do you know what this is again? Ha 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 ha, I laughed to death. It seems that Lao Hu has fully understood Yeshen in just 2 days. Isn't it just again? Yeshen is like a world encyclopedia, he knows almost everything. Brother Menzang's face is swollen again. If your face is swollen, you can take anti-swelling and analgesic capsules, cephalosporin tablets, and other drugs to reduce inflammation and swelling. You can also apply cold compress first, and then apply hot compress. After a period of time the swelling will disappear quickly. You can use boiled eggs to apply it face. Yeshi touched his nose. Actually, you should know what this thing is. Yeshi stepped forward, pushed the anxious fat man away, then touched his big eyes, and really felt a strange power inside them. This power seemed to take him into another world. Yeshi immediately took his hand back and said, "This thing can also be called the Muchen bead." His simple words made countless people explode. The glasses that had been on Professor Cao's face fell to the ground with a clatter. Then several old men in their 60s and 70s all crowded in front of the screen, staring at Yeshi with wide eyes, his big eyes specially enlarged to focus. "Don't squeeze." "Why squeeze? Let me take a look first. I am an expert in this field." Others looked at the shouting old man with contempt, who is not an expert. Then Professor Cao's clothes had been torn off, and after his glasses fell off, he couldn't see anything. He was so angry that he yelled, "Look at how crowded I am." Everyone was stunned for a moment, feeling a little guilty, and then Professor Cao took this opportunity to squeeze in quickly. How did the legendary phoenix gallbladder left behind by the Yellow Emperor appear in the ancient city of Jingzhou? It may have been passed down in the past, which is not surprising, but, doesn't the appearance of phoenix gut prove that there really is a Yellow Emperor? This is big news that shocks the world at home and abroad. I have only poached yin merchants before. Professor Cao looked at these old antiques and shook his head with disdain. Don't break the news. This kid even dug out dragons. Why does he still care about you, a mere ancient history of the Yellow Emperor? After saying that, he muttered again. Where did this kid know so much ancient history? No, when he comes back, we have to catch him and ask him. If not, we can ask about the big secrets. Unexpectedly, Long's words immediately shocked his old friends. Each and every one of them pulled Professor Cao's voice into tears. What are you talking about when you step on a horse, dragon? The dragon was dug out by this kid. Only then did Professor Cao realize that he had made a mistake. This information had been classified as confidential. He was called here because he was unparalleled in historical research. Let's not talk about the chaos inside the Institute of History. On the edge of the Taklamakan Desert, exactly where Yeshi came in, the entire area has been sealed off. One of the men in military uniform was holding a tablet in his hand and was watching Yeshi's live broadcast. Did you find the big bug? He handed the tablet in his hand to someone else and asked in a deep voice. Not yet. We have used sonar technology, but we have not found such a huge life signal. Sir, do you think? The man in military uniform did not show off his anger, and the person reporting the incident immediately shut up. Take a look at the scene of bugs appearing in Yeshi's live broadcast. If necessary, directly cause a local sandstorm. A few tightly wrapped biologists were holding some photos and whispering. Yeshi didn't know that there had been such a big storm surrounding him. He just looked at the three people with shocked faces. Lao Hu couldn't hide his shock. Brother, didn't you say that Muchin Pearl is not here? Miss Yang couldn't hold herself any longer, her face was flushed and her eyes were shining. Is it really Muchin Bead? The barrage was even more uproar. Muchin Pearl? The beads that the great god said were left behind by the Yellow Emperor's emergence. No way, is there really a Yellow Emperor? What shocked me was not Huang Di, but Yuhua, feathering. Is this something a human can do? Is it really possible to cultivate immortality in ancient times? Is there a possibility, of course, I mean possibility, that Yeshen is actually a cultivator? Thank you upstairs for your guidance. I instantly realized it and fully understood that the immortal was actually by my side. Don't be poor, I'm thinking, what's the use of something like this? Is there any big boss who can give his own opinion? Miss Yang was still excited, while the fat man was drooling. Only Lao Hu was relatively calm. He looked at Yeshi's expression and asked tentatively. Is there something wrong with this Muchin bead? Yeshi nodded and had no intention of taking out the big eyes. Instead, he looked at the statue of Queen Jingzhi thoughtfully. Yes, this bead can also be regarded as the Muchin bead, because it is said to have the same effect as the Muchin bead. Only. Yeshi looked at the two people who looked at him with burning eyes and spread their hands. It's just that this bead is a jade eyeball made by a priest from the Jingzhou kingdom after spying on the Muchin bead. It is a fake Muchin bead. Even Lao Hu almost couldn't bear the ups and downs, let alone others. A professor of history research said in a surprised tone, isn't it Muchin bead? Listen to what Mr. Yes said, there really are Muchin beads in this world. Professor Cao continued to look at the jade eyeballs and sighed. Even if this jade eyeball is not Muchin bead, it is still a human treasure. Yeshi stretched out his hand, wanting to touch the statue of Queen Jingju, but in the end he chose not to do it. He possesses peerless magical power, and naturally feels that the airflow here is not right. The whale's breath power becomes vast and bright, and he also tells Yeshi that this ancient temple is not as simple as he imagined. After hearing Yeshi's words, Miss Yang was a little depressed, but she quickly recovered. After all, she has improved a lot compared to before. "Brother, how can we take Yuyan away?" the fat man asked impatiently, and Lao Hu gave him a quick tug. Yeshi glanced at the fat man and said with interest, "This is a cultural relic, do you want to take it away now?" The fat man was about to say something, but Lao Hu quickly interrupted. Laughing so hard, Fatty betrayed his teammates this time. "I don't even believe they are archaeologists." The fat man amused me to death. If he really wanted to do archaeology, I'm afraid all the archaeological objects would have been taken back to his home. I always feel that Yeshen knew something, so he said it on purpose. It's too damaging, but I like it. Yeshi, Lao Hu, and the others clicked here and took a group photo. Then I added a copy of photograph with Queen Jingju and then posted the picture to the blog and ignored it. Then he looked around and said, "I think this ancient palace is just that big. Let's see if there are any other exits or entrances." Lao Hu, what do you think? When Lao Hu heard this, his eyes were incomprehensible. He always felt that Yeshi had seen through them all, but that was impossible, so he touched the back of his head and said, "There must be, and this is not just an ancient city." "Brother, do you still remember the black mountains we passed? They were like black dragons in the desert, but they were broken in the middle by artificial excavation. We can take a look at the stones of these buildings. They are exactly the same as those in Black Mountain. More than that, according to what I learned, this is also an excellent mausoleum." Lao Hu felt that he had let something slip, but he continued, "In ancient times, Queen Jingju would immediately start preparing her mausoleum for 100 years from the moment she ascended the throne, and the city in the desert was located there. There must be water veins everywhere, so there is not only an ancient city, but also a royal tomb." No, I watched Lao Hu for 2 days before I realized that Lao Hu still has this ability. I let it slip. This group of people are not archaeologists, but tomb robbers. Otherwise, how could they be so familiar with all the treasures? "Who do you look down upon upstairs? We archaeologists are equally knowledgeable." Yeshi nodded. Then Lao Hu began to look for a way out, and he was actually found. Several people gathered near the big eyeball again. "This mechanism is right here." Lao Hu pointed at the big eyes and said, "Just when everyone is helpless." Yeshi looked at the patterns on the altar, fumbled around in his backpack, and suddenly took out an ancient-looking cane. As soon as he put it down, it clicked. The whole palace is shaking. The underground passage is opened. Is there a treasure chest in Yeshen's backpack? Why is there everything? My expression now is like that of a fat man. Damn it, why did it turn on? I don't know where this place will lead. I became a little scared for a moment. Buzz buzz. The live broadcast drone flew in the ancient palace, and Yeshi was the first to go down, followed closely by Miss Yang, and Lao Hu was last. When only the drones were left, the barrage in the live broadcast room suddenly became crazy. "Holy shit, Yeshen, Yeshen, look at us, we saw another red-haired shadow, and it disappeared in an instant. Mom, help me." "What the hell did you see that red-haired shadow?" "I was just staring at the Queen of Jingju. I thought she was pretty, but she opened her eyes. Help me. Bullet screen protect me, bullet screen protect me, bullet screen protect me, Yeshen, help me." The entire live broadcast room was in chaos. A netizen who saw the statue open its eyes hugged his 3 roommates who were watching the live broadcast next to him. In one dormitory, 4 strong men were trembling with fear, one man on top of another. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yu Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 25. Chapter 25. If the ancient god does not appear, who can compete with him? Yeshi didn't know that the barrage in the live broadcast room had exploded, and many people were calling Yeshi to hurry up and watch the live broadcast room. It's just that he is heading to the next floor now and has no extra time to watch the barrage. It was dark below, and the sound of water dripping could be heard in the distance. Old Hu, what you said is indeed correct. There are indeed water veins under Jingju ancient city. The underground was empty, and the sounds still echoed. Together with Yeshi's and others' voices, the live broadcast room was rendered like a ghost land. Yeshi was still talking to Lao Hu and the others. Suddenly, he felt a great danger. A huge living creature came towards Yeshi and the others from a distance. As if sensing the human scent, the monster that had been sleeping for thousands of years finally woke up from its slumber in the ancient city. Yeshi felt something was wrong at the first moment. He raised the searchlight in his hand and shouted, "Back off!" Rumble. The entire underground palace shook. Yeshi flew forward, holding the mysterious stick made of fine iron in his hand, and slammed it forward, and threw the flash bomb that was originally in his pocket forward. Tisk tisk. The three people retreated, and only Yeshi rushed forward. Before netizens could recover from the fear above, they saw Yeshi's crisis again, and their hearts aroused for a moment. Damn it, it's too dangerous here in Jingju ancient city. Why does it feel so much more dangerous than the previous white bone dragon pond? Do you have a divine eye to see what kind of monster is on the other side? I adjusted the brightness to the maximum and only saw a grey mess. Chi. It seemed that the flash bomb was thrown by Yeshi and hit the monster, causing the monster to scream. And this cry is extremely penetrating, making people not only uneasy but also dizzy. When Lao Hu and the others saw Yeshi rushing forward alone, they did not dare to step forward casually for fear of becoming a burden, but they did not intend to just stand here and watch. Miss Yang immediately took out her diamond umbrella, and several people began to explore whether there was any mechanism here that could help Yeshi. Yeshi jumped up, stepped on the air and clicked 3 points. His posture was extremely smooth. Lingbo Y step was used here, which can be regarded as killing a chicken with a knife. When all the fire lights lit up, Yeshi AI discovered that this was actually a half-human, half-snake monster, which made people feel uncomfortable just by looking at it. I'm dizzy, what kind of horror movie is this? Although I will die in 70 years, Yeshen cannot live broadcast this thing as if I am dead now. Thinking on the bright side upstairs, if you die now, you don't have to die again. It would be great to reincarnate directly. My scalp is numb, Yeshen really just goes wherever there is danger. I don't know what happened to Lao Hu, but the underground palace on this floor suddenly lit up. And this sudden brightness made the monster very uncomfortable. The monster's snake tail is 4 to 5 meters long, and the part above the chest is human. His whole body was filled with sticky mucus, as if he had just crawled out of a snake's gallbladder. Hiss, hiss. 1,000 miles away, Yeshen is really destined to snakes, but I just hope I don't have this kind of fate. I respect the diversity of species, but I refuse cockroaches, mosquitoes, and snakes to appear on Blue Star. Please, if you don't go away, let me go away. I'm paralyzed, and half snake and half human beings have appeared. Why are you still complaining about being afraid of snakes? Help me, brother. Ye has really reached some fantasy plane, right? I feel that after this wave, this place will definitely be under martial law. What the hell? Kick the door frame. Let me be objective. The anchor may have mistakenly entered some secret base that engages in genetic engineering, but I didn't expect that such a big thing could be broadcast live. It seems that the anchor's background is better than I imagined. Big Aaleguo, the anchor has no background, but his mastery of information technology has reached an incredible level. He built the domain name of this address by himself, and it cannot be locked at all, let alone erased. Aaleguo, if you have some brains when watching the live broadcast, You should find that the equipment used by the anchors for the live broadcast is incredible. Stop being fanciful. This technology is not available to the public. All kinds of popular science and disputes are mixed together in the barrage. Yashi didn't see it at all. He just looked at the half-snake monster in front of him warily. Hiss. The monster's muscles and bones are extremely hard, and ordinary swords cannot cut through it. Bang. Only the sound of a gun was heard, which made everyone startled. Did I hear wrongly? Lao Hu and the others actually have guns. This old Hu has true love for Ye Shen at this time. He took out the gun and it was broadcast live. It's over. Something is going to happen. Why do they have guns? Look at Brother Ye, who is still fighting with cold weapons. It shows that even people like Brother Ye can't get guns. Who are Lao Hu and the others? I fainted. I found that the bullet did not hurt this half-snake monster at all. What should I do? Brother, are you okay? When Yashi heard the gunfire and looked back, he saw Lao Hu and the others running over with a gun, their expressions solemn. He shook his head when he heard this question, then reached out and snatched the gold steel umbrella from Miss Yang's hand. Borrow an umbrella. The clear young voice came out. There was almost only a shadow in everyone's eyes, and Yashi had already fallen in front of the monster. Then, a scene that everyone couldn't believe appeared. The internal force inside Yeshi's body circulated, and air waves actually formed and surged out. The diamond umbrella carries internal force, which makes the umbrella even more powerful. The half-snake monster rushed over, its tail swung, and the ground was shattered with one blow. The stone pillars next to it were directly smashed to pieces, and they all fell to the ground, making it difficult to move. Yashi used the diamond umbrella as a weapon, but saw the umbrella hanging upside down in the air, falling down like a goddess scattering flowers. The internal energy attached to it is extremely hot, and it still feels like it's burning when you get close. Yashi faced each other in the air, and sparks ignited at the tail of the diamond umbrella. The sharp umbrella fell on the monster, as if imprisoning it. Walking through the air again, Yashi stepped directly into the air, a few meters away, and passed with a palm, causing bursts of flames. The power of this palm is so terrifying. Before the monster had time to cry out, it had turned into a ball of roasted snake meat. What is the return of the immortal emperor? What sky-high special effects? What kind of super actor? I just rubbed my eyes desperately, but I still saw the same picture, and my worldview was shattered. I thought about how outrageous Ye Shen was before, but I didn't expect it to be so outrageous. With this sense of security, I am not even afraid of that red-haired monster anymore. Yashi stepped forward and pulled out the diamond umbrella that was inserted into the half-snake monster's head like a sword. Then, with the inner strength in his hand, a ball of water vapor gradually condensed and landed on the Vajra umbrella, cleaning it. Lao Hu and the others stared at Yashi dumbfounded. Finally, he came closer and spoke. Brother, are you a descendant of the legendary god clan? How can you make fire and water out of thin air? Yashi shrugged his shoulders. Maybe it's because I have practiced internal strength skills. Then Yashi Fang waved towards the live broadcast camera. Don't worry, everyone, there's nothing wrong with us. Just seeing this snake man, I always have a bad feeling. I'm afraid I will see more weird things later. I'm not worried about the anchor, I'm now worried about the monsters that the anchor will encounter. I can tell at a glance that you are not a human being, the mighty heavenly dragon, the great Luo magic spell. What is the secret of internal strength? Yashi, Lao Hu, and the others approached the dead basilisk. In the end, the fat man pinched his nose and turned over, but found nothing. Although they didn't turn over anything, their expressions became more and more horrified when they looked at Ye, because the temperature of the flame was too high, otherwise it would not have killed the half-snake monster instantly. Brother, tell the truth, have you returned to your home now? The fat man didn't know what he thought of, and suddenly he had a wonderful idea. After the barrage reacted, he burst into laughter. I dare this fat man to suspect that brother Ye crawled out of a ghost cave, right? Then I have to say one thing, this fat man is really wise and foolish, and he can tell the truth with one word, God. It would be nice to see that we are not the only ones who think that Yeshen is not a human being originally. The name Yeshen was just a joke, but who knew, he really is not a human being. Who can imagine this? Can you imagine it? I can't think of it anyway. Yeshi touched the back of his head inexplicably, and then his face turned black when he realized what he was doing. Fat man, what are you talking about? This is my first time here. I didn't know it was so dangerous. If I crawled out of a ghost cave, then I would be too scary. The fat man didn't speak. His mood was a bit complicated, but netizens had already read and understood the fat man's eyes. Fat man, aren't you scary now? Fat man, maybe I am a dog, but you are definitely not a human being. So what is in the ghost cave? Is there something that even Yeshen finds terrifying? I was suddenly afraid to cross it out and became excited. Yeshi didn't care what these people thought about him. He thought that if netizens knew where the ghost cave was, they would probably not take what he showed seriously. Yeshi was originally the leader, but Yeshi made sure to let Laohu lead the way, which scared Laohu so much that he thought he had offended the other party in some way. The main reason is that he doesn't feel that where Yeshi is, he can still exert any residual energy. If you don't see how scary this person is, he doesn't even look like a human anymore. However, due to Yeshi's strong request, Laohu was still the leader in the end. Yeshi interacted with netizens in the live broadcast room from time to time. Later, when he saw the red-haired shadow someone mentioned and the Queen Jingju with her eyes open, there was even more interesting expression on his face. It just scared Fatty and Laohu so much. I didn't expect this underground palace to be so big. However, we still haven't seen any water flow when we get here. This shows that there may be a next level. Yeshi guessed, and then got Laohu's confirmation. Because the palace on this floor is really too big, and there are many cultural relics. Yeshi and the others even saw a small room containing ancient books. All this made the big names in history and archaeology who were watching the live broadcast sigh with regret. Fortunately, Yeshi and Laohu stopped Fatty from going in to cause damage, otherwise these old people would have rushed to the Taklamakan desert to fight Fatty to the death. Laohu knocked somewhere and found another passage. There was a stone staircase made of black stone, which led to the bottom at an angle. Except for the range of the searchlight, it could not be seen deeper. It was precisely because of Laohu's special features that netizens could not help but be surprised. I really didn't expect that 2 days ago. I would never have thought that what Brother Ye dug out from the desert was a top master in the tomb robbing world. Indeed, I even felt that this person's professionalism was better than mine. I have been engaged in archaeology for more than 10 years. It's terrible has the current tomb robbing industry become so involuted. I think we should not call them tomb robbers after all, they just followed Yeshen in except for finding the passage, they didn't move anything. Upstairs, you didn't notice the fat man's eyes if it weren't for Brother Ye and Laohu's restraint. I'm afraid that the ancient city of Jingju would be emptied by this fat man. The fat man also saw these comments and was very unhappy. He complained to Laohu. As a result, while complaining, he smiled instantly when he saw the gifts that netizens specially gave him. He also ran to Yeshi's side and told him not to forget to transfer his share to him after the live broadcast. Yeshi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Just when Yeshi and his friends were about to go down to the next level, the fat man's crow-mouth nature came out again. He shouted, "Old Hu, brother, Miss Yang, this is not right. You said we have walked around here, but we didn't see the relatives of the monster. Could it be that the monster came out of the air? This shouldn't be. Did we miss something?" As soon as these two sentences came out, the three people shouted at the same time, "Shut up." It's so funny, the fat man's expression is very aggrieved. There's nothing we can do, the crow-mouth star in the sky is reincarnated, Good things don't work, bad things work. The best help for the fat man is to shut his mouth. The three people went down to another level, and the sound of water was very close. It seems that we have reached the water vein. According to Lao Hu, the tomb of the Queen of Jingzhi should be buried nearby. Yeshi waved to the live broadcast room, and when he saw that the signal was still as strong as ever, he praised the system in his heart. Sure enough, once the system came out, it must be a masterpiece. Miss Yang threw a few cold fireworks down, lighting up the road ahead clearly. Everyone realized that this road was incredible, and there was a statue at the end. Let's go, keep going forward, don't worry, if there is danger, I will feel it the first time. Yeshi felt that the three people hesitated and dared not move forward, especially Lao Hu, who knew the danger of the ancient tomb. He didn't care, after all, he had multiple insurances on him. As the saying goes, who can compete with the ancient gods if they don't come out? Yeshi has this confidence in himself. They walked for a long time and finally reached the end of the ramp and walked in front of the statue they had seen before. It turned out that there was a platform below the ramp, with hundreds of stone statues with giant pupils standing on it, and the rest of the place was just steep cliffs. There's no way out. Have we reached the ghost cave? The fat man was the first to speak, and the word ghost cave made the already nervous people jump. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Hai. Chapter 26. Chapter 26 Boundless Ghost Cave. In such an empty and quiet environment, Fatty suddenly spoke, startling everyone watching the live broadcast. Yeshi turned around and glanced at Fatty, then shook his head. No, the ghost cave won't be that narrow. Do you remember the words I used when I introduced the ghost cave? Endless ghost cave? After Yeshi finished speaking, he didn't care what others thought. He suddenly jumped onto the opposite stone wall, startling everyone. But it turns out there is a groove there, just big enough for a few people. But Yeshi's almost flying movement just now was still shocking. Even Lao Hu sighed with emotion. Although I have known for a long time that there are many strange people in this world, it still scares me to meet someone like me now. Yeshi used the gecko wall walking skill to climb up for a while, and the figure disappeared into the darkness. After a while, neither appeared. This made them a little scared. Brother Ye couldn't just disappear like this, why didn't any sound come down? I had a bad premonition when Yeshen went up just now. Come on, now the premonition has come true. What the fat man said actually makes sense. Is there only one snake man in such a big ancient city? This is impossible, right? Don't forget the red-haired monster. It really took a long time, so long that even Lao Hu couldn't hold it back and started shouting. Brother, brother. Yeshi had already climbed up the stone wall because he could hear the sound of water flowing closer and closer. I was surprised just now. I thought that water veins would appear when I came down, but there was only a stone platform and no water flow. The sound of water flow they had heard was also like an illusion, as if it had never appeared before. And his eyesight was so amazing. When he stood on the stone platform and looked up, he could see water faintly seeping out of the cracks in the stone. The whale breath skill in Yeshi's body also surged. It was obvious that there should be a pool of water here, and his inner breath began to surge. After climbing nearly a kilometer, Yeshi's internal energy continued to flow, but he could hear the sound of rolling river water in his ears. He jumped up and landed on the edge of the black rock, then his breath tightened and he couldn't help but take a breath. What is in front of us is indeed a water vein, and it is a very large water vein. Yeshi looked around and saw that there was no end in sight, and the river was extremely cold. He was immune to the cold and heat, but he could still feel that the temperature here had dropped by nearly 10 degrees compared to below. Ding, congratulations to the host. The exploration of the Jingzhou ancient city map has increased by 27%, and the overall progress is now 40%. Ding, congratulations to the host for unlocking the third puzzle piece of Jingzhou ancient city. The reward is Meteor Jade X1, Immortality Technique X1, Weavue Divine Spell, Zixia Gong, and Jingzhou Ancient City Fragments X2. Excellent Ancient City Illustrated Book, Underground Black River, Snake Tribe. Snake Tribe, 2000 years ago, a great change occurred in the ancient city of Jingzhou. This great change was not only because Queen Jingzhou frequently spied on the supreme existence in the Ghost Cave, but also because a mysterious clan came from the east. The snake disaster occurred. The remnants of the ancient city of Jingzhou became snake people and lived under the mountains, gradually losing their own history and self-awareness. Underground Black River, there is an underground river where everyone lives in the desert, but this underground river is different. In 2000 years, the underground river has become indistinguishable from the snake people. If you drink the river water, you will be contaminated by the water. Corroded by the snake's venom, he turned into a snake man. Meteor Jade, tens of thousands of years ago, meteorites fell on Blue Star, creating a strange clan. The most important effect of meteorites is to extend human life. The art of immortality, based on the meteorite jade and the snake man, take the meteorite jade before turning into a snake man, and then transform into a snake man. Every 200 years, you will shed your skin to achieve immortality. The Weavue Divine Mantra, it was born out of an ancient book handwritten by a legendary figure. It is mysterious and unpredictable. It is closely related to the spirit and brain of the human body. If you practice it deeply, you can control others for your own use. Zixia Gong, born out of an ancient book handwritten by a legendary figure, it is the superior internal power of the world. When it first appeared, it was vague and non-existent, as continuous as clouds. However, it accumulated strength and became extremely tenacious. Later, it became overwhelming and unstoppable. The face of the person who uses the power. It is full of purple energy, so it is called Zixia. Yes, she didn't expect that he could unlock so many things in an instant just by having a sudden idea, especially when it involved the legendary art of immortality. His aura was completely concealed at this time, and he looked at the snake people in the water from a distance. With just one glance, he could tell that there were probably no less than 1,000 people in the tribe here. Yes, she had no intention of going down and killing everyone right now, but the live broadcast drone had already flown up. He gestured toward the live broadcast room, and with a rush of energy in his hand, he nailed a heavy nail he took out of his backpack into the mountain wall, then tied a rope and swung it down. As for himself, he went down directly along the stone wall. It was just a glimpse, but the live broadcast room was filled with excitement like never before. Brother, yeah, just be fine, let me tell you, how could such a strong person suddenly disappear? It turns out he found another place. Grass, why is it a snake again? Don't do this to me. I really want to thank our God for giving us such a big surprise. This is the snake tribe that Fatty has longed for. If he really wants to drag Fatty over, he will definitely be delighted. Fat man, first of all, I didn't offend anyone, and secondly, I didn't offend anyone. After Yeshi waved to the netizens, he jumped down. The wind blew by, and the drone couldn't even catch up with his shadow. He only saw a blurry back. He fell directly without any protection, and when he was about to hit the bottom, he flew through the air and landed on the stone platform again. So cool. Is this what Yeshen calls Qinggong and internal Kung? Gu Wu, don't look at me, I can't fly. Brother, just be okay. Lao Hu and the others were extremely anxious, but they were relieved when they saw Yeshi landing again. The fat man even stepped forward and patted Yeshi on the shoulder. Okay, little brother, where have you been? If you don't come back, we are going to climb up to find you. After the fat man said this, the live broadcast drone just followed down, making people dizzy. Li Liyuan's score, Lao Ye, is a bit exaggerated. This is the first time I've seen such high technology that it can't even catch up with a human's shadow. It's you as expected. After Yeshi and Lao Hu said something, they explained what they had seen. When he said that there was a water vein and even a big lake on it, the fat man's eyes almost dropped. Yeshi spread his hands. And judging from the situation, there is no road down here. If you want to continue going forward, I'm afraid you have to climb up the stone wall. I left a rope on top, it should fall down by now. As soon as Yeshi finished speaking, he heard a clicking sound and the rope was thrown out, making the onlookers open their mouths in disbelief. Brother, you are so amazing. You threw these ropes down from above, then came down without holding the ropes and talked to us for so long, and then the ropes fell here? Is this the work of a human being? Yeshi handed the rope to Lao Hu with a somewhat sarcastic tone. Fat man, that's what you said, why isn't it? Everyone burst into laughter. But the way Lao Hu and Miss Yang looked at Yeshi clearly indicated that they no longer regarded him as a human being. Yeshi specifically told them to make less noise when they went up. Although most of the snake people were sleeping, once there was a movement, thousands of snake people rushed up together. Now even the most unstable fat man felt weak and didn't really want to go up, but looking at the expressions of Lao Hu and Miss Yang, he still chose to go up. In the end, Yeshi did not use the rope, but just watched the three people from the side, so that if anyone fell, it would be easy to save him. It only took Lao Ye 2 minutes to go up and down, right, especially the next time. I'm afraid it only lasted for tens of seconds, and it stayed for a while in the middle. It's really not as good as not knowing, and it's shocking to see it. Anchor, I am XXXXX from XXXXX company. I have chatted with you privately. I have come up with 50 million to ask you to teach me some internal skills. Let's dream upstairs, but what exactly is the internal strength that Yeshen mentioned? I suddenly want to learn ancient martial arts. A few old guys in the History Research Institute were dancing and happily comparing the pictures one by one, and speculated that the ancient city was the best. However, Yeshi not only shocked those who studied history, but also many biologists began to pay attention to this live broadcast room because of the appearance of the snake man. How could such a creature appear in the ancient city of Jingzhou, which had disappeared for 2,000 years? This is a very serious question. They talked a lot, but couldn't get a good answer. As for the Taklamakan Desert, those who tried to lure the sandworms out have failed. Just when they almost thought Yeshi was a shocking liar, someone followed the footage taken by Yeshi and found the trajectory of sandworm activity. The man in military uniform at the head was watching Yeshi's live broadcast on his tablet. Naturally, he also saw the snake man in the lake. He couldn't help but sigh. I never knew that this world was so magical. It can be regarded as some good things this kid has done. It's just such a big fanfare. Look at the real-time number of viewers in this live broadcast room. It has exceeded 100 million. This has a huge impact, and the live broadcast room cannot be closed. Let's think of a way. What can we do? Those people who were planning to blow up the Bone Dragon Pond didn't dare to do it, and they asked us to find a way to block his live broadcast room. Can we do it? The man became very angry as he spoke. Finally, he looked at the old scientist who was studying the sandworm trajectory and muttered something and said, "How's it going? Did you see anything?" The old scientist shook his head, then nodded. "It's so obvious. With just this little information, who do you think I am?" He looked very unhappy, and could even be said to be very irritable, because a living research subject had just slipped away and could not be found again. He almost vomited to death. The problem definitely lies with this kid. Look at this picture. This kid dropped something into the desert. I'm afraid these things attracted the sandworms. If there really were sandstorms and sandworms, the sandworms would have been discovered by the world long ago. Is it his turn? When will he come out? Will he still be broadcasting? After the old scientist got the affirmative answer, his beard was so angry that he finally snatched the tablet from the man's hand. Let me see what this kid is doing. On the screen, what was broadcast live was Yeshi leading Laohu and the others through the underground Black River and meeting the snake people in the center of the Black River. Why didn't you tell me that this kid brought out all the snake people? The old scientist glared and saw the snakeman. He immediately shouted with full energy. The man felt that his eardrums were about to be pierced. He felt wronged and wanted to say that it was you who said not to let anyone disturb you from studying sandworms. But seeing that the old scientist's face was almost touching the screen, he shut up tactfully. Yeshi and the others walked along the black stone at the edge. If you walk on it, you will be finished if you accidentally step on the air and fall down, so everyone is very careful. Except Yeshi. In addition to watching the live broadcast room, Yeshi even had time to watch the snakeman and take pictures. Several people appeared in the group photo at the same time. Click. This difficult road was finally passed. The fat man was already soaked, and Laohu was sweating profusely. He looked at Yeshi, who was still walking in front and steady, and gave him a thumbs up. Brother, you are so brave. I have never seen someone like you in my life. Yeshi smiled and said nothing. They had crossed the river, and there was a stone path on the river that they could walk up. But there were no stone steps after walking a certain distance, only winding mountain cracks, which should be where the construction workers walked. Yeshi was very relaxed, he walked alone in front, as if walking on flat ground. Going up from here, it should be the tomb of the Queen of Jingzhou that Laohu mentioned. I wonder if anyone is curious enough to draw my route along the way. If anyone tries, they will find that we are already under the black magnetic mountain of Zaglama. Has anyone followed me to explore the White Bone Dragon Pond? Come out and tell me which place you think is more interesting. Yeshi waved his hand, and several pieces of broken stones fell down behind him, hitting people and scaring them half to death. Brother, be steady. Although you can fly, this is too high. I suddenly have a fear of heights. Brother, yeah, as a loyal fan of yours, I think these two places are not places for people to stay. It's amazing. The attitude of Yeshen and the three people behind him is in sharp contrast. Otherwise, why is Yeshen a broadcaster? He is professional. This cold joke above really chilled me to the bone in the hot summer. Yeshi didn't mean to target Laohu and the others, but they were just too slow. So after telling them, he stepped on the 90 degrees right-angled mountain wall and walked up. This scene made the fat man a little dazed, and his feet slipped and he almost fell down. You are really not a human, Laohu. How did we encounter such a monster? What exactly is the internal strength that the young man is talking about? No one could answer this question. Yeshi took the lead and went straight to the top. There was a gloomy wind blowing under the cave. He stood here, looking at the ghost cave below. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the White Bone Dragon Pond. Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 27. Chapter 27 Envoy from Tang Dynasty. This is a mountain that is nearly vertical at 90 degrees, as if a knife had been cut with incredible force. Below is the underground river. The underground river is deep and extremely deep. The snake figures on the surface look like a scene from a horror movie, each one sleeping in the deep water. Laohu and the others raised their heads and saw that Yeshi had disappeared from their eyes after taking only a few steps up and down. The live drone was still following Yeshi's back, and he was already standing on the cliff. Ahead is an endless abyss, and behind is a densely packed snake human race. One step forward is hell, one step back is an abyss. The drone flew up buzzingly. Yeshi pointed at the deep hole in front of him and said, "It seems that we have found the legendary Boundless Ghost Cave, and the magical power in the eyes of Queen Jingzhou, who is rumored to have divine power, also comes from the ghost cave. Even the reason why such a big change happened in Jingzhou country has a lot to do with the ghost cave. Yashi's clear young voice floated over the ghost cave, still carrying waves of echoes. The searchlight in his hand is already the most powerful exploration light available on the market, but when the light shines into the ghost cave, there is still a sticky darkness, not even a centimeter of space is illuminated. Didn't some people say that ghost caves may be connected to hell, but I think the scene now is almost like hell. Although Yeshen is a god, it feels like I'm dancing on the tip of a knife right now. Look at the palm-sized place at Yeshen's feet. I shouldn't have watched Lao Ye's live broadcast. He screamed in the early stage, screamed in the middle stage, and also screamed in the later stage. I'm claustrophobic and can't imagine what would happen if I fell into this ghost hole. Hey, you have fallen into a ghost hole, and you are still thinking about your claustrophobia. What you should be thinking about is how miserable your death will be. Lao Ye, look at your northwest corner. There seems to be a terrace about 20 meters below there. There is something shining on it. I just noticed it. Do you want to go and take a look? Ding, congratulations to the host. The exploration of the Jingzhou ancient city map has improved by 25%. The overall progress is now 65%. Ding, congratulations to the host for unlocking the fourth puzzle piece of Jingzhou ancient city. You will be rewarded with Kunlun Sacred Tree, Nephrite Whip, and Jingzhou Ancient City Fragments X3. Illustrated Book of the Ancient City of Jingzhou, Kunlun Sacred Tree, Ancient Coffin of Jingzhou, Corpse-Scented Konjac. Kunlun Sacred Tree, a piece of wood from the Kunlun Sacred Tree that cannot be traced back. It possesses divine power that is unimaginable to mortals, but if you don't have the know-how, you will never be able to discover it. If you use spices to open the divine treasures in the body, you can awaken the human body's divine power. The sacred tree is recorded in the history of the human race. Even if there is only one section of the legendary Kunlun sacred tree, it will not dry up without soil, water, and sunlight. Although it no longer grows, it will always maintain its original appearance. If the body is stored in the Kunlun sacred tree in it, it can be immortal for thousands of years. Jingzhou Ancient Coffin. The coffin contains the Queen of Jingzhou, the High Priest of Jingzhou Kingdom, and people from a special clan. They have been constantly transformed and reborn in the coffin and have lived for 2,000 years. Corpse-Scented Konjac. The legendary ancient magic flower can grow in ancient tombs, keep corpses from rotting, and make corpses emit fragrance. It is extremely precious. In the legend of the ancient western regions, the corpse-scented konjac contains there are evil spirits that, once they grow up, can no longer be approached by living people, and they have the ability to create illusions and confuse people. Soft Jade Whip, a tribute treasure from the foreign country Maluo during the Tianbao period of the Tang dynasty. It was made of special jade. The whip body could be bent and stretched and at the same time extremely hard. It could resist the attack of any weapon. One day, a bad person in the Tang dynasty carried this whip to the front. Li Jingzhu's method of ordinary longevity, and since then, this whip has been left here. Yeshi didn't mind when he heard the tinkling system reminder in his ears. He just pointed to the northwest and said, "There was a barrage just now," saying that there was a glimmer of light in the northwest, and I noticed it too. I decided to go and see what was there first. Yeshi didn't know when a whip appeared in his hand, and then tied it around his waist. There was an abyss beneath his feet, and the place he walked was only the size of an ordinary woman's hand, but his eyes still sparkled with the desire to explore. Brothers, whether it is heaven or hell, it all depends on this wave. He made a joke at the end. Queen Jingzhou, why don't I just lift up the coffin? This is not a joke, brother. Yeah, what if there is really a hell under the ghost cave? Has anyone guessed that the ghost cave is actually connected to another parallel world? People disappear when they look into Queen Jingzhou's eyes because they are all sent to another parallel world. Where are Lao Hu and the others? Why are they still halfway up the mountain? Look at our brother Ye going straight to hell. Yeshi flew forward dozens of meters before accidentally stepping on a black stone to hit a stress point, which dazzled some people. Also in the past few days, some foreign friends have come to Yeshi wanting to learn Kung Fu. So he went to Yeshi's university, Yanqing University, to be a student. The earthquakes caused by these two live broadcasts were beyond everyone's imagination. If the senior officials of Dragon Kingdom had not ordered the two places to be sealed off, I am afraid someone would have gone to take a look. When Yeshi almost flew down to the top of the terrace 20 meters down, Lao Hu and the others had finally walked 4/5 of the way. The fat man waved to Yeshi quite leisurely. "Brother, what did you find again?" Yeshi used his internal force to drive a few expedition-specific nails into the wall behind him, then tied the static rope to them and threw them down together. As for the few people who were still there, he saw that even the snake people came out, so they didn't need to cover themselves too much. Then a huge wave of internal energy surged out, with extremely powerful suction. It turned the world of the three people around and directly lucked them over from such a distance. If the previous blue star knew a little bit, I'm afraid he would have shouted, "The world has moved." But the people here don't understand this. They are just so shocked that their eyes are about to fall down. But don't forget that Queen Jingju has raised her coffin, my old man will exclaim when he sees this scene. "Mr. Sun, where did you see the monster?" I really can't help but believe that Lao Ye is not going to hide it this time, and directly let go of his strength to let everyone understand what Ye Shen is. I'm sorry, brothers, I really didn't hold back after watching Brother Ye's live broadcast. I beat up my master and asked him to only teach me how to fight. Old Ye, can you do something in the underworld? Yang Jian, hey, why are you calling me? Lao Ye, who was in love with the scene, took two of them. You are simply in love. Thank you upstairs for teaching us a little curse skill every day. Yeshi knew that the live broadcast room must be extremely exaggerated again, but he really didn't think anything of it. He only knows a little bit about cultivation. But let alone the netizens who were thousands of miles away, the most shocked ones were Lao Hu and Fatty, who saw these things face to face. The eyeball was almost gouged out by himself. Brother, can you tell the truth? Where did this 1,000-year-old monster crawl out? Old Hu was amazed and felt that Yeshi was really anti-human. Yeshi looked at the ropes in everyone's hands and shrugged. Don't look at me with such exaggerated eyes, I just practiced a special technique. He rolled his eyes and suddenly thought of what he should say. He patted Lao Hu on the shoulder. Don't worry, Old Hu. Let's see if this exquisite queen can fake corpses. When we get out, I'll tell you how I practice. The fat man broke his voice, and Miss Yang also looked shocked. No, this is yours. Yeshi bumped Lao Hu with his elbow. Isn't it just a family secret? Lao Hu, our eldest brother, not to mention the second brother, you also have something similar, which is even more outrageous than mine. This wave of fire caused everyone's attention to Lao Hu in an instant. Brother, don't say this nonsense. Brother, how do you know there is a secret about Lao Hu? Fatty and Lao Hu's voices rang together, asking the latter to hold his forehead. What's wrong? I'm sorry, I'm the only ordinary person in this world, right? I am ordinary and I am proud, I am ordinary and I am proud, woo woo woo, Brother Ye and Brother Hu teach us. So there really is something in this world that we can't imagine, then someone has already contacted you. I just care about what Ye Shen said about cultivation. I'm too greedy, please teach me, I want to practice too. The others pulled the rope down, but Yeshi floated down alone. The width and thickness of this terrace exceeded everyone's imagination. And for the first time, Yeshi and the others discovered that this platform was just the first one, and there were others further down. This made the four of them look at each other, a little confused. If there is one, there are two, and if there are two, there are three. Brother, I'm afraid there are 3 platforms in total. Lao Hu was the first to speak out. And he pointed to the coffin in front and said, The style of the coffins in front of me is not that of the western regions, but that of the Central Plains. It is very similar to the style of coffins in the Central Plains during the Tang Dynasty, but I can't figure out why there are such coffins here. Although the darkness here is very challenging, the system specially upgraded Yeshi's live broadcast drones so that they can still broadcast clearly even here. And Yeshi's eyesight was even more extraordinary. He saw the portraits around the coffin at a glance, so he said, "Let's take a closer look. I see there seems to be a mural there. It's strange. I was standing very far away before, and then I noticed the light coming from here, so I noticed it. But when I looked closer, I found that there was no light at all. If your speculation, Lao Hu, is true, then the light should come from below. It comes through 2 layers. Several people stepped forward and saw that there were indeed patterns carved on the coffin, and there was a stone tablet next to it with words engraved on it. Everything in the past was easy for Yeshi, but his major was not history. Therefore, I barely understand the words in front of me. But the familiar system voice rang. After the omnipotent system's translation, Yeshi had already understood what was written here. Miss Yang's eyes lit up and she started talking to Lao Hu at the same time. This is the coffin of an envoy from the Tang Dynasty. The 2 people spoke in unison, and finally Miss Yang continued. What is recorded on this stone tablet is that the king of the Tang Dynasty heard that there was a method of immortality in the western regions, so he sent envoys to the western regions to look for it. The envoy searched for it and found the Jingzhou kingdom at that time. He happened to meet another group of people. The purpose of these people coming to Jingzhou kingdom was the same, and they also wanted the art of immortality. The difference is that that group of mysterious clans carry treasures that can make people live forever. Jingzhou kingdom welcomes them very much. Although the envoy of the Tang dynasty had nothing in his hands, he also joined in because of the country behind him. When he said this, everyone's eyes became strange. It was the fat man who said. It seems that the ancients also knew that the truth is only within the range of the canon. Ms. Yang continued to read the stone tablet. Netizens in the live broadcast room and professors from the School of History were even more impatient. Then they began to study the art of immortality, because studying the art of immortality requires a large amount of gold and silver, as well as rare treasures, so the envoys of the Tang dynasty searched for treasures in the name of the monarch of the Tang dynasty. Almost no small country dared to refuse the envoy's request, so the research on the art of immortality went surprisingly smoothly. Fatty, can it still be like this? Then can I also go to those small countries to cheat on food and drink? He said, and his eyes lit up. But Lao Hu rolled his eyes at the fat man and said, "Okay, I have official endorsement. What the hell, don't disturb Miss Yang, let her continue talking." Miss Yang continued to read. After a long period of experiments and configurations, mainly relying on the power of the ghost cave possessed by Queen Jingzhou, as well as the treasures brought by the mysterious clan, and the materials collected by the envoys of the Tang dynasty, they successfully developed a method of immortality. Lao Hu, what, how is this possible? What a liar, everyone is dead, and you have discovered a way to live forever, but you jumped out of the coffin compared with others. The fat man's attitude was obviously contemptuous, thinking that this was it's just bullshit. It scared me to death. I also said, if this could live forever, wouldn't it be a mess? Fatty can't do it anywhere else, but this place is really good. It brought me, a lost lamb, back under the red flag again. This is nonsense, but considering how obsessed ancient people were with immortality, it's really possible. Am I the only one who thinks that the longevity technique recorded above has a lot to do with the snake people that Lao Ye once encountered? Thanks to Lao Ye originally, I was an underground researcher and was caught secretly watching Lao Ye's videos. My supervisor originally wanted to defer me, but now they started chasing Lao Ye's live broadcasts with me, and they asked me to do it. By the way, what happened in the last live broadcast of Popular Science? Keep talking, I feel like we are going to talk about ghost caves later, ghost caves, and what kind of magical power Queen Jingju has. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yu Pian Hai. Chapter 28. Chapter 28 100 meters underground. Yeshi and the others walked to the front. It can be clearly seen that the material of this coffin is unusual, and the length and width are wider than ordinary coffins. At a glance, it seems that it is about the size of an ordinary coffin, which is puzzling. And Miss Yang continued to say. It says that they have developed a method of immortality, but the records say that only a few people can live forever with this kind of immortality technique. So the envoy did not inform the monarch of the Tang dynasty about this matter, but used the method of immortality himself. And it is recorded above that 2000 years later, these immortal people, after spending a long period of ignorance, will wake up from their coffins and come back to the world. When he said this, the speaker frowned, and the listeners also frowned. Are you having fun like this? It was really predicted by previous netizens that I rose from the coffin, right? So, it's been 2000 years, right? Could it be that the stone tablet refers to the present time? It's hard, I'm so confused now that I even think there's a real zombie about to jump out. Many people have put forward their own speculations, but after all, too much time has passed, and no one knows what this record means. However, there are archaeology professors who enlarged the screenshot of the stele and printed it out. After careful consideration, they found that the meaning was similar to what Ms. Yang said. Where's Lao Ye? Why didn't he say a word? What does that mean? The fat man took a quick look and saw only some worthless stones, so he was not interested at all. So he walked over, looked at Lao Hu who was mumbling something and shouted. Lao Hu, do we want to open the coffin? Unexpectedly, Lao Hu's eyes were serious this time. He pointed at the powder falling next to the coffin and said. Brother, do you think these powders are after the snake sheds its skin and the snake skin weathers over a long period of time? Think about the snake people we met before. Are those snake people the experimental subjects of the art of immortality? Brother, let's open the coffin and see what's inside. Yes, she did feel a smell very similar to that of the snake man, so he nodded. Then he said to the live broadcast room. When I came in, I was curious as to why there were living creatures, including snake men, in this ancient city that had been buried for 2000 years. It's a pity that I didn't see any records about snake people along the way. Yes, she pointed at Lao Hu and the others who were preparing the tools to open the coffin, and said with a smile. But, it seems we can now guess the origins of those weird snake people outside. Although the records here are so mysterious, to be honest I don't really believe it, so I decided to open the coffin with Lao Hu. A smile appeared on Yeshi's lips. Everyone, wait and see whether a big rice dumpling will pop out of the coffin this time, or a skeleton that has died long ago. Lao Hu was also gearing up. He no longer felt it was important to conceal his identity. Instead, he was very curious about the answer to the mystery in front of him. The three of them cleaned up, and the fat man actually walked to the southeast corner with a candle. Then the fire lit up, leaving many people scratching their heads. At this time, Yeshi stood in front of the live broadcast drone and explained. People light candles, ghosts blow out lamps. Light a candle in the southeast corner of the tomb. This is a condition for opening the coffin. If the candle goes out, it means there is a ghost in the tomb. Yeshi's tone combined with the gloomy scene next to him scared people to the core. Miss Yang looked at Yeshi inexplicably, as if she was surprised that he even knew this. People light candles and ghosts blow out lamps. The atmosphere of adventure suddenly arises. No, I suddenly feel a little cold. Golden Mouse, this is a bit mysterious, but according to my scientific speculation, this habit should have a lot to do with the oxygen in the tomb. Golden Mouse, modern archaeologists no longer use this method if you want to test whether there is oxygen underground. You can also put living animals, for example, the tomb robbers in the past used live chickens and ducks. It is no different from lighting candles, but what the anchor said was very scary. 1,000 miles away, I also agree with what the golden retriever said, but I want to ask, what if the candle's fire turns green? Xiaoshu, listen to me, thank you, because of you. The moment the candle changes color is also the moment Laohu opens the shop. Both happen at the same time. Yeshi suddenly turned around and noticed the color of the candle, and shouted, Laohu, back off. But this sound was a bit late, because the big guy inside had already emerged. Laohu looked at the big snake, or half-human, half-snake monster, emerging from the coffin. His pupils shrank, and he suddenly threw the engineer's shovel forward. Then he saw the monster grinning ferociously, and the engineer's shovel didn't even break his fur. The monster even raised half of its body from the coffin, and with one tug, it was about to throw Laohu into the ghost cave. At this moment, Yeshi suddenly stepped forward and swung the nephrite whip in his hand. The scorching gas and internal force attached to it struck him, leaving a whip mark on the opponent's body. And Laohu, who was supposed to fall into the ghost cave, was caught by him. The rope originally used to fall was swung and wrapped around Laohu's body several times. The monster attack is coming. We really dug out the ancestor of the snake man, right? Old Hu, are you okay? The fat man yelled. And Yeshi had already swung the nephrite whip in his hand, and started fighting the monster with the powerful internal force in his palm. Boom! The internal force in Yeshi's hand was so strong that he swung the nephrite whip and directly split the coffin made of special material into two halves. Then the monster's appearance became more and more ferocious. It was chattering and I didn't know what it was talking about. Suddenly he stretched out his hand, took out a long knife from the half-broken coffin, and struck directly at Yeshi. Sonorous. This monster is also extremely poisonous, and there is a special viscous liquid in the coffin where it lies. When the coffin shattered and the liquid flowed out, everyone discovered that the liquid was highly corrosive. The ground was eroded into ravines. Brother, are you okay? The fat man had seen Yeshi's eyes and had climbed up along the rope. At this time, Laohu was also pulled up. Several people stood on top, watching Yeshi fight alone, a little anxious. But I felt that going down by myself was really holding people back. I really won the lottery, and a big rice dumpling was revealed after I opened the coffin. I think I have been in a family of tomb robbers for hundreds of years. I have never seen anything so outrageous in all these years. This is really an eye-opener. Let's just say that there is no technology for immortality. If there is, I declare that I will summon the ancestral dragon and the second phoenix. No, wait, there is a family of tomb robbers. Then my eyes were opened. This snake man is probably more than 3 meters tall, and looks like a giant. I never expected that the longevity technique recorded on the stone tablet turned out to be like this. Look, Lao Ye just kicked the big rice dumpling down. Yeshen, you didn't expect the big Zongzi, I can fly, hee hee. I saw that Yeshi's internal energy was lifted up, and he took a slight step, as if he had taken a few steps in the void. The snake man transformed by the Tang dynasty envoy fell straight into the ghost cave. As soon as Yeshi's afterimage appeared, he returned to the platform. This one has lived for 2,000 years. Yeshi didn't know what to call him for a moment, so he simply called him Snake Demon. This snake demon is indeed a snake demon that has lived for 2,000 years, and it seems that due to its origin, its skills and consciousness are even more outrageous than ordinary snake people. So much so that modern people like Yeshi, who relied solely on their internal strength for thousands of years to survive, were a little unable to bear it. Fortunately, the snake demon was finally sent down. Yeshi also took the time to look at the ghost cave and felt that if there was really another world down there, it would be quite interesting for the snake demon to run there. He didn't need to look at it to know that the barrage must be full of worry, so he waved his hand. Don't worry. Shit, Lao Ye, Stop waving, look behind you. When I saw the snake monster crawling up from behind Lao Ye, I chose to die where I was. The barrage was extremely anxious, and Lao Hu and Fatty's pupils suddenly shrank, and then they shouted loudly. As soon as Yeshi waved his hand, he felt a chill on his back. Click. Yeshi instantly kicked up the coffin underground, and all the internal energy in his body surged out, naturally carrying the snake demon with the evil spirit of heaven. The heat in his palms was like a furnace. Bang. Then he blasted out the coffin and the snake demon. He fell far away and was swallowed by the boundless ghost hole. Call. At this moment, those watching the live broadcast and those at the scene couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. Fortunately, little brother is fine. It really scared me to death just now. Several people slipped down. Lao Hu looked a little apologetic. Brother, we didn't help. Yeshi waved his hand, indicating that there was no need to say anything. I didn't expect that a snake demon really jumped out of the coffin, but this also shows that the so-called immortality skills are all fake. Yeshi explained to the camera. It is also said that there is another world under the ghost cave. Maybe the 2,000 years of old monsters have gone to another world. Yeshi was still in high spirits and was not affected at all by what had just happened. This big heart is worthy of Lao Ye, who else? But Lao Ye is right, basilisks have appeared in the past 2,000 years, so there may not be another world under the ghost cave. Hey, am I the only one who thought of time travel? I also want to see another world. Although the stone tablet here has solved some questions, more questions have arisen. Old Hu said there might be a second or third floor below, so I decided to go down there and have a look. After he finished speaking, he asked several people to drive nails into the stone wall together. He could also drive several nails together, and then wrap the nylon rope around it several times. Yeshi just took the rope and jumped down. The live broadcast drone was still following Yeshi, but this scene was too scary. Lao Hu felt that it was inappropriate to continue like this. He thought about it and didn't know what method to use. After Yeshi went down for a while, he also went down. I'm afraid that my brother will have an accident, so I want to go down a distance first. I saw that when I was flying in the air before, I seemed to need a point of support. If there is no point of stress later, I could step on me. There are also live broadcast drones here. Many netizens were moved when they saw this scene. Lao Hu, they are really good people. If it were me, I would definitely not be able to do this. Yeah, I knew how powerful Brother Ye was, but I still chose to help Brother Ye to the best of my ability. You see, the fat guy who likes to argue the most didn't say anything. He was still muttering just now, otherwise, the two of them would go down together, but they were persuaded by Lao Hu to come back. I apologize for the tinted glasses I wore before. Fatty, in fact, I really didn't offend anyone. Although I love money, I also listened to what Lao Hu and the little brother said. I decided to scold the fat guy less for a second. Yeshi came down along the rope. He calculated the distance and continued to go down 30 meters, but he still didn't see the second platform. He hesitated for a while. Fortunately, he was climbing down along the stone wall. The gecko wall climbing skill was almost like a divine skill in this place. It wasn't until he went down 40 meters that Yeshi found the second platform. And it was already surprisingly cold here. So much so that frost could be seen everywhere. Why do I have a sense of déjà vu of exploring the secrets of the White Bone Dragon Pond? Is it reasonable that it's so cold down here? Golden hair shell, reasonable. It gets colder and colder whether you go up or down, not to mention that you are going under the desert. This ghost cave is really deep, and it is just like what Lao Hu said. There is a second stone platform, but if there is a second one, there is a third one. The second one is so deep, the third one will not be 100 meters underground, right? Too scary. I feel that this can apply for the ninth wonder of the world. How did such a project come about 2,000 years ago? I can't understand it. 2,000 years ago, people even came up with genetic engineering, referring to snake people. Compared with this, building a platform 100 meters underground is just a piece of cake. Yeshi landed on the second platform again. Then he heard the ding sound again, and the system strengthened the live broadcast drone again. Now he has 3 live broadcast drones here, 2 of which are on top. There was a dark fog in front of him, and Yeshi's eyes couldn't see through the black fog to see what was inside the black fog. But... click. Yeshi's hand suddenly lit up. This was the high-tech searchlight that the system had just rewarded. The energy contained in it could be used for thousands of years. And the light wave has a very strong penetrating ability. When the light came on, Yeshi could see clearly what was in front of him. There were actually 3 coffins here. But unlike the coffins above, the coffins here were of ordinary size. The live broadcast room was still guessing who lived in these 3 coffins. And those archaeology professors were also like chicken blood, full of energy, discussing and checking information. Yeshi continued to move forward, and suddenly, he heard a ding-ding-ding sound. Ding, congratulations to the host for increasing the exploration of the Jingzhou ancient city map by 15%. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Pian Hai. Chapter 29. Chapter 29 The sudden appearance of the red-haired monster. P.S. I found a wrong data and corrected it. Ding, congratulations to the host for exploring the Jingzhou ancient city map and increasing it by 15%. The overall progress is now 80%. Ding, congratulations to the host for unlocking the 5th puzzle of the Jingzhou ancient city, and the rewards are the Jingzhou ancient country heritage, the bad people heritage, and Jingzhou ancient city fragments x2. Jingzhou ancient city atlas, Jingzhou ancient city high priest, mysterious slate. Jingzhou ancient country high priest, rumor has it that he has the power of a prophet, and is another tribe that came out of the ghost cave. You can use the Zukin pearl, fake, to spy on the depths of the ghost cave. Mysterious slate, it records all the major events of the ghost cave clan from the appearance of the ghost cave to 2000 years ago. Bad people heritage, every bad people in the Tang Empire is an elite among 10,000, and the bad people sent by the Tang Emperor to find the way to immortality are the elite among the elite, with the peak of individual martial arts. The inheritance of the ancient country of Jingzhou, the method of longevity, the secrets of the Ghost Cave clan, and the method of communicating with the Ghost Cave are all in the inheritance, but only the people of the Ghost Cave clan can open it, and the host can read it freely without restrictions. The specific method of opening it is that the Ghost Cave clan members infiltrate the mysterious stone slab with blood. Note, Yang Suili is a member of the Ghost Cave clan. The ding-ding-ding sound kept ringing in Yeshi's ears, and as soon as he thought about it, he obtained the inheritance of the bad man. In an instant, a lot of knowledge that he had never known before appeared in his mind. It was also at this moment that he discovered that there were supernatural things in this world before, especially in the Tang dynasty. It is said that the prime minister of the Tang dynasty, Wei Zheng, killed the Dragon King, which is not a legend, but a real thing. Yeshi didn't know whether it was true or not, but the inheritance of the bad man was serious. And the martial arts and methods practiced can also cultivate extraordinary power. When Yeshi saw this, he finally confirmed that he was normal, and he breathed a sigh of relief. The searchlight produced by the system in his hand must be a fine product. It penetrated the inexplicable black fog, allowing everyone to see clearly what was in front of them through the live broadcast. At this time, Lao Hu also came down along the stone wall, and saw Yeshi standing on the platform and breathed a sigh of relief, and said with a smile, "It seems that I thought right. When I came down just now, I was worried that if I made a mistake and hurt the little brother, I would not live and jump directly from the ghost hole. Yeshi laughed, then walked over, held Lao Hu's hand, and took him down. Lao Hu, you are underestimating me. Although this kind of place is creepy, it is not as scary as the Along I encountered in the last live broadcast. Yeshi waved to the live broadcast room. You send some barrages, let Fatty and Shui Liang come down. Old Hu also raised his eyebrows, with curiosity in his eyes. I saw many people in your live broadcast room mention the White Bone Dragon Pond, and I have been very curious about it for a long time. I didn't expect that you, brother, would encounter a mythical creature like Along and escape unscathed. When you think about it, it is true that compared to Along, this is probably just a deeper hole. Old Hu took the searchlight handed to him by Yeshi. Yeshi saw the feedback from the barrage and smiled after knowing that Fatty and the others came down. Old Hu, don't say it, I don't know what kind of big guy is squatting in this ghost cave, how can you not know? I dare not say anything now, if he really notices my disrespect. Yeshi did not continue. And there were curious voices in the live broadcast room. How did Yeshen know what was under the ghost cave? Aren't we all new here? Kick the door frame, it's very simple, this was planned in advance, otherwise it doesn't make sense. Why does the anchor know everything about the place wherever he goes? Don't leave 1,000 miles, brother. Door frame is too persistent. I think of the door frame in Brother Yes live broadcast room. People who use all kinds of common sense to explain Brother Yes live broadcast burst into tears. This is a rare species. Alegio, in fact, what you said is very simple. If all the performances of this person are not false, we can make bold guesses and verify carefully, that is, every time he arrives at a place, he can read the information of that place. Alegio, this possibility is not impossible. Our research institute has done many studies and can clearly tell you that there are a small number of people in the world who have special abilities, such as Magneto in the comics. Boss ALA, I haven't seen you for a long time. You dropped such a heavy bomb as soon as you came. Boss ALA's statement is very magical. There is a hint of science in metaphysics, which shocked me. Old Hu looked at Yeshi in surprise. Because the live broadcast aircraft was very close to the two of them, he naturally saw the barrage above. Brother, if I can't beat you, I really want to cover my head and capture you and ask you where this information comes from. Fatty, Swilly, and I have crossed many mountains, many rivers, and blown up many graves, haha, and we have survived many deaths to know these news. Old Hu laughed as he spoke. But this time with brother is the most relaxed. Yeshi smiled and didn't say anything else. He just pointed ahead and asked. The fat man and Shui Liang were still coming down the stone wall. Yeshi and Lao Hu went to the front to take a look first. In the past, Lao Hu had always had the feeling of deliberately covering himself up, but after the identity of the people who came to rob the tomb was discovered, he no longer hid. Now when a person walks to the front, he feels an indescribable feeling. Yeshi was only a few steps behind, mainly reading The Inheritance of Jingzhou Ancient Country. In front are 3 coffins. And on the far right is a mysterious stone slab 3 meters high. Lao Hu's voice rang out, brother, it seems that we have indeed found the rightful owner. Looking at the style of the coffin, the person buried here is definitely a big shot from the Jingzhou kingdom. The writing on that stone slab is the writing of the Gaidong clan that you once said, little brother, the writing of the ghost cave. When Shui Li comes later, ask him what is written on it. Then, little brother, you can take a look at the movement of this coffin and the patterns carved on it, which coincide with the 9 palaces and Bagua technique. If you don't follow the path of survival, I'm afraid you will encounter a mechanism that will lead to death. A faint light flashed in Yeshi's eyes. He had read all The Inheritance of the Jingzhou Ancient Kingdom and the Ghost Cave Clan. When he thought back to the written records he had seen, even he felt extremely horrified. What the hell, if it was so chaotic before, why is there no news at all now? Fortunately, I thought I was alone in this world, so I worried about it for a while. But that's right. The 5-color altar thing came out. I really had a brain twitch, and I felt that this world was ordinary. After Yeshi finished complaining in his head, he saw the barrage was exaggerated. Why do you feel that Lao Hu has become much more handsome? I used to think that old Hu was ordinary, but now it seems that the clown is actually me. How did I realize that Lao Hu gave me a different feeling? I don't know if you all feel it, but he seems to have come from the army. I didn't expect Lao Hu to know so much knowledge about his ancestors. How come I, a college student, don't know anything? I originally thought that Lao Hu and the others had missed out on the 9-year compulsory education, so they chose to be grave robbers, but now I realize that I was really too naive, and I was the one who missed out. You know so much, but what was Lao Ye doing there with his eyes closed? Could it be that the boss of ALA country was right and was reading the information about this place? Lao Hu didn't say anything when he saw Ye, so he shouted, "Brother? Let me see if I can unlock this formation first, okay?" Yeshi came back to his senses and nodded. But suddenly he felt that it was not safe at all for him to go forward like this. So he went back, hammered nails into the black stone wall, made a simple safety rope, and threw it to Lao Hu. "Lao Hu, be careful. I'm afraid it's not as simple as we thought." Although he didn't know why Yeshi's always cheerful and fearless look became much more serious, he still nodded. However, after having this heavy security protection, he became more and more bold in his actions. Yeshi has always been a very steady person. Now that I know the big secret of Jingzhou ancient country, I decided to be more prudent. So he asked the system, "How old is the inner force I have now?" Ding, after system inquiry, it was found that the 9 Yang divine art and the whale breath art practiced by the host both have the ability to regenerate internal energy. Even if they do not practice it deliberately, their internal energy is growing. Therefore, the host now has 1,321 years of internal power and is already a qualified old monster. Ding, when the internal power exceeds 10,000 years, the world is unsealed, and the skills practiced by the host are automatically transformed into immortal cultivation skills. Yeshijhen didn't expect that he would get such a big surprise just by asking casually. But 10,000 years. Yeshi suddenly felt a little distant. As for those who practice immortality but not immortality, Yeshi has already looked away. If he wanted to become an immortal before, now his goal is to look like the kind of ancient god who lives and dies with the universe. There is such an ancient god deep in the ghost cave. The internal power of 1,321 years old is already exaggerated in the world of martial arts, but this world is not the world of martial arts. No, I have to be more steady. Yeshi took out a bottle of spices that the system had packed in a bottle. The bottle is a glass bottle, and I don't know what kind of high technology it is, but you can clearly see that the spices inside have a dazzling color, as if they are the most precious things in the world. Yeshi opened the bottle and took a sudden breath. The spice also followed his 5 orifices and fell into his body. Yeshi could feel that this was a completely different method of unlocking the hidden treasure in the body than cultivating internal power. In other words, this spice can make people pay attention to the genetic locks in the human body. The internal energy in Yeshi's body was flowing like a river, but he didn't realize that there was such a deep genetic lock in his human body. Click. The internal force like a vast ocean instantly broke through this genetic lock. Moment. Yeshi felt that Tianling Gai felt refreshed, and the internal energy in his body was growing faster. These are 2 completely different paths of cultivation. But Yeshi mixed up with the practice, and not only did he not feel any discomfort, but he felt very happy. Sure enough, technology and cultivating immortals are infinitely powerful. Let me ask who else. After Yeshi hid 108 trump cards, his whole body began to float again. Fatty and Swilly Yang also came down the stone wall. It's just that you can still hear the noisy voices of these 2 people, which makes people couldn't help but feel happy. I never knew Sister Swilly could be so bad at times. Although it is so dark, I can still feel that the fat man's face is blue. The merits of this smile for 10 years are gone. Lao Hu, your wife is bullying me. Fatty was really speechless by Shui Liang, and even deliberately wiped away non-existent tears. He shouted out loud and almost made Lao Hu, who was breaking the formation, fall down. Fortunately, Yeshi pulled the safety rope in time. The faces of Lao Hu and Shui Liang turned red instantly. Fat Wang. Lao Hu gritted his teeth. Thanks to this voice for finally letting me know the last name of this damn fat guy. Laughing, this fat guy is really a living treasure. I think Lao Hu and Shui Li are going to rush up and beat him to death. Add me one. The air was instantly filled with joy. And Yeshi also had a smile on his face. Lao Hu glared at Fatty fiercely before continuing to break the formation. Lao Hu's slightly embarrassed voice came out. Brother, the formation here is a bit unusual. I don't know if it was set up by that evil and smoking guy. Except for the only way to survive, all other paths are dead ends. No one can survive if you go wrong. Ahem, Shui Li, lend me your diamond umbrella, I'll use it to break the formation. Shui Liang was also a little uncomfortable, but after seeing that Lao Hu was even more uncomfortable, she instantly relaxed a lot. This organization is really vicious. Yeshi also discovered it. He told netizens while watching Lao Hu unlock the trap. You can see that Lao Hu's trend is like a swimming dragon. I don't know much about this aspect. It should be said that he didn't understand anything before inheriting the legacy of bad people. Boom. A big pendulum suddenly appeared from somewhere and was about to knock Lao Hu down. But Lao Hu dodged it. There are countless similar mechanisms, but Lao Hu has avoided them all. It's not because he took any wrong route. But if you stay in this damn place for a long time, the corresponding mechanism will be triggered. However, Lao Hu broke through the formation very quickly. After all, he is a person who possesses the secret technique of 16-character yin and yang feng shui. He didn't have to wait long before he found the only way to survive. Lao Hu was sweating profusely and was about to relax. Unexpectedly, changes occurred at this time. Yeshi's people moved together with Lao Hu's voice. No, there is no way to survive here at all. The people who set up these 3 unique coffins want everyone to die. Yeshi also pulled the safety rope in his hand to pull Lao Hu over. But I never expected. Click 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 click. The stone platform broke violently in the middle. Then, the stone platform where Lao Hu was standing, the stone platform where the 3 coffins were placed, actually floated in the air out of thin air, and even floated towards the center of the ghost cave. The nylon rope made by Yeshi after countless modern industrial processes is worthy of being the most expensive adventure rope. At this level, it still remains intact. Just a bang. Yeshi originally wanted to use his inner strength to pull Lao Hu over. The red-haired monster that had been disappearing suddenly appeared. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 30. Chapter 30. I am a serious anchor, and the live broadcasts are all ordinary things. Let me go. Who is this old red-haired monster? I haven't seen him during the entire live broadcast. As a result, he suddenly sneaks out every time something big happens. Isn't this too scary? It's on fire. Family members, didn't I ask Yeshen to take us to see the world's wonders of the Sky Garden? As a result, many netizens criticized me this time. It seems that I am short-sighted. The Sky Garden is not in our desert, you can see it underground. Look at Lao Hu's pitiful and helpless eyes. Don't you feel uncomfortable when we are here to gloat over misfortune? It's really not uncomfortable. Is Brother Ye going to perform a show on the spot, fighting the red-haired ghost from ancient times to the present? I just entered this live broadcast room, and I want to ask something. Have you had this symptom before, or did you only have it today? Yo 11, People are about to fall down and die. Why are the people of the Dragon Kingdom still laughing? Are they so unsympathetic? I believe that Yejun will never consider you when he recruits disciples. Yejun, I have a sister. What we are saying is that if the sky falls, Lao Ye will still be holding him up. We were so worried about Lao Ye before, but in the end, Ye Shen just acted like he was playing, making us worry in vain. Ye Shi laughed when he saw these barrages. But I couldn't laugh anymore. Because of this barrage below. Our satellite captured a piece of space junk in space. Stop thinking about the ghost hole in front of you. Think about what the 5-color altar is and come back to explain it to us. Yeshi. He really didn't expect these people to move so fast, but the most important thing was to save Lao Hu in front of him. So Yeshi pretended not to see anything and continued to save Lao Hu, who was gradually moving away. It is no exaggeration to say that the popularity of Yeshi's current live broadcast room has reached a level that cannot be matched by the 99 anchors below. The craze on the internet is rolling in, radiating out at a terrifying speed. Did you know that there is an anchor on TikTok who live broadcasts sending antiques to space? He succeeded and was captured by the country's satellite. Then word of mouth spread that it was actually Yeshi who live broadcasted a trip to space and back to everyone on the spot. I thought it was a fake, but the satellite captured the scene of him standing in the universe, so he had to admit it. Whether it was TikTok, Big Eyes, Small Sweet Potatoes, Huzzy, or the ancient Taiba, all exploded. Rumors have even spread to the extent that a man in space dropped an ancient bottle as soon as he got off the spacecraft, which made Yeshi, the person involved, blush. Moreover, this is not just the case in China, it has even affected hundreds of countries, and the number of people increasing is still growing exponentially. Although Yeshi had tied the corresponding places with ropes. But the ghost cave was too weird. The rope seemed to have lost its original use. Old Hu continued to float inside, farther and farther away. Yeshi had long sensed that there was something wrong with the pulling rope. Knowing that this is a problem on the other side, I'm afraid it can't be saved by ordinary means. As for the fat man, he raised his finger and said, "Didn't you see the red-haired monster? Don't you act like you're blind and can't see him," to attract the other person's attention. When Shui Liang saw Lao Hu getting further and further away, she felt a little helpless. Although she was shocked by what happened to Yeshi, the most important thing was Lao Hu in front of her. After Yeshi felt that there was something wrong with the rope, he waved to Lao Hu from a distance, telling him not to worry. When thinking about other ways to rescue Lao Hu, he clarified it for himself. "I'm just saying it casually. Live broadcasting is all about gimmicks and exaggeration. How could I have imagined that I would actually go into space? Don't ask, don't ask. We are still in the very dangerous ancient city of Jingzhou right now. We haven't seen the legendary Queen Jingzhou who has divine power, and we don't know the origin of the ghost cave. It's so dangerous here, I don't even care about the other things you said." Yeshi's expression became serious, his whole person was extremely formal, and his tone was still solemn. "Look at Lao Hu, how desperate he is for us to go over and save him, but you are still here making jokes, are you not human? 1,000 miles away, you can tell me who is the least human. We remember that there was a guy who was the most unlikable person. His first live broadcast was about a real dragon. By the way, I backhanded an ancient one. What was that called? Oh, it was an ancient space station that sent antiques from the Blue Star Mountains into space. I asked if it was a human being. Was it a human being? Alegio, whoever says he is not a human is the least human. Kick the door frame. I am Yun Ran, so, Lao Hu has floated to the center of the ghost cave. What should I do? How about Yeshen, float over? I'm afraid it's 100 meters away, and there's no point of leverage. Wealth will never return home. At this moment, there is still a Yebo friend, the abbreviation of the netizen who watched Lao Ye's live broadcast, who cares about comrade who is hundreds of meters away from us in the spirit of humanity. It is really touching. Let's see who still talks about us. People in China laugh when they see others dying. I am God, who is God, therefore, brother yes nickname is God. There is only a wrong name, not a wrong nickname. Yes, she was silent for a while, trying to think of how to fool around. He complained in his heart that he had only accepted a branch explanation task. How could he really go to space? Who could know this? Ding, noticing that the popularity of the host's live broadcast room has risen sharply, the system has deliberately increased the branch line DC, expanded the carrying capacity, and supported the host's live broadcast business with silence. Ding, congratulations to the host for having more than 400 million viewers in a single day for the global live broadcast, and rewards advanced energy bottles X15, intermediate energy bottles X30, planetary gene nutrient solution X20, and live broadcast drone reinforcement ing. Yeshi's eyes twitched, but after seeing that the system was still so stingy in rewards other than exploration, his heart suddenly calmed down a lot. It was still a familiar formula, and it was still a familiar taste. The fat man followed the previous live broadcast on the barrage with relish, and just then heard the voice of Lao Hu, who was exhausted. Because the distance was getting farther and farther, Lao Hu's voice was getting weaker and weaker. It sounded like the last voice before death. Oh no, where's Lao Hu? Why can't I see him? I told you to stop yelling, now you've been killed by the red-haired monster. The fat man rubbed his eyes, and his eyes turned red in an instant. After lowering his head for a moment, Wang Pangza suddenly shouted. Lao Hu, I didn't expect that this time you would fall into the trap of those old bastards thousands of years ago and die here. These damn dogs, when I find a chance, I will blow up this hole to avenge you. I, Fatty, swear that I will take good care of Swili Yang, and your mother is my mother, my father is your father, I will serve them well, and burn paper money for you during festivals. Oh no, our parents are dead. The fat man slapped his thigh and became even more sad, crying silently. The tears fell down, and he was still muttering in his mouth. What, I shouldn't have come to this damn place, what, the money they gave me hasn't been spent yet, what, the little brother said he would teach you the inner strength, what if you die, will he teach it to himself, etc. Yes, she was listening on the side, not knowing whether to comfort him or complain. The fat man's wailing voice almost shattered the black magnetic mountain of Zagrama. All he heard was Lao Hu roaring in anger. He was almost pissed off to death by the fat man. Fatty Wang, you are howling, you are dreaming. You don't hope for this good thing every day, and you think of me every day when there is a loss. Now you are still cursing me to death. You wait, I will drag you down even if I die. Lao Hu, I'm not dead yet. After you die, I will take care of your wife and children, don't worry about it. I didn't expect that Fatty is also a cultured person. When he heard Lao Hu's first sentence, Fatty thought he heard Lao Hu's ghost yelling. So he refuted a few times, asking Lao Hu not to miss the human world and live a good life in the underground. These words made Lao Hu so angry that he wanted to fly over and beat the fat guy to death. Then when Lao Hu shouted angrily in the second sentence, Yu Wang Xuankai is the ghost howling. The fat man reacted, Lao Hu is not dead. The fat man jumped up excitedly and wanted to hug Shui Liang. But when he saw the other party turn around immediately and hug Ye. Brother, Lao Hu is not dead. A certain brother surnamed Ye, you should ask yourself why you are the only one who thinks Lao Hu is dead. Lao Ye, I suggest that Fatty Wang, you should recognize one thing, that is, you are the only one in the world who thinks Lao Hu is dead. I laughed to death. This is the first time I saw such a rich expression change on Lao Ye's face, and it has to be Fatty. Just when the big boss of ALA said that the old bottle that Lao Ye sent out with the 5-color altar during the first live broadcast really appeared in space, old Ye's expression was not so helpless. It seems that everyone has forgotten the red-haired big brother who appeared for the third time. He doesn't want to save face. Yeshi pushed the fat man away, barely suppressed the matter of the five-color altar, and began to think about how to rescue Lao Hu. Lao Hu's voice was heard clearly throughout the ghost cave. "Brother, there is a third platform here." Hearing this, Yeshi was stunned. The third platform is not below, but on the other side. When these questions flashed through his mind, he heard Lao Hu continue to shout. "There is a spiral staircase going deeper below. I wonder how this height was built without any support." "Brother, don't worry, I'll take a look at what is written on this stone slab first, and why there is another platform here inexplicably, which is not in line with the number of 3 lives." He was about to say something, but Yeshi had already tied another special rope produced by the system. With the internal force in his hand bursting out, he threw the rope directly to Lao Hu's side at a distance of 100 meters. "Don't think too much, I'll come and see too." After saying this, Yeshi turned his head and looked at the camera. Seeing those comments, he felt his nerves throbbing. Why do they always like to spread rumors about him? So after thinking about it, he said seriously, "Everyone, stop discussing those nonsense. These things actually have nothing to do with us. We are mainly looking at the Jingzhou ancient city and the ghost cave in front of us. Jingzhou ancient city is too dangerous. Let's take a look at our current Sirius Exploration live broadcast room to see if we can lift the veil of history and find the truth of 2000 years ago." Yeshi suddenly smiled shyly and added, "After all, we are a Sirius live broadcast room. You don't need to guide others to have any wrong understanding of me. I am just an ordinary person like you. So in fact, the things I broadcast live are very, very common." Emperor Qiao Tian, why is it so wrong for the 2 words serious to appear in old Ye's mouth? It's implied, definitely implied. You are more excited, I am better. Jingzhou ancient city never thought that one day I would become a borrower of a live broadcast. If I hadn't followed him all the way to the live broadcast, I wouldn't have known that old Ye was really thick-skinned sometimes. Kinli Buli Sing, I'll explain for Brother Ye. Brother Ye's seriousness here refers to the fact that he transported 3 living people from the air like cargo, dozens of meters away. I am God. I'll continue. The seriousness here refers to the fact that he was seriously flying directly above the abyss in a place the size of a bird's claw. Wulian Tianzun, since everyone is so enthusiastic about using seriousness to make sentences, I'll also show my ugliness. The seriousness here refers to the first live broadcast that took people to see the real dragon, and then sent the antique into space, and it was sent with stones. The second live broadcast brought hundreds of millions of people from all over the world speaking different bird languages to witness the 2000 years of genetic engineering, snake people. It was really serious. I think this is the first and only time I have encountered such a serious live broadcast in all these years. My eyes are about to be blinded by the light. Makia, regarding Brother Ye's claim that his live broadcast room is very serious and the things he broadcasts are very common, our company has arrested him for false advertising. I am Yunren. After all, we are a serious live broadcast room, everyone is a serious person, and the anchor broadcasts serious things. No way, no way, no way, is there really someone who has never seen a dragon? Kinglu Scholar, no way, no way, no way. My family is known as the dragon raising family. There are 800 real dragons waiting for my orders at any time and anywhere. Is there anyone who doesn't raise dragons?